It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Stacey Higginbotham's here. Jeff Jarvis is here. We're going to talk about CES 2021. It's on, but would you go? Facebook employees walk out, and then they come right back. And Project Gutenberg banned in Italy. It's all coming up next on Twig. This Week in Google comes to you from Twit's LastPass studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes enterprise-level security simple for your remote workforce. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 562, recorded Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020. Taco Fixins. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by LastPass. Prepare for the unexpected in your business with LastPass, trusted by over 17 million users and 61,000 businesses worldwide. Visit lastpass.com/twit to find out how they can help you. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest from, we can't say the Google-verse. It's not just Google. The world around us, the technology-influenced, internet-infused world around us. That's Stacey Higginbotham. Stacey on IoT.com. And increasingly the host of online panels discussing... Aplenty. Panels aplenty.
Yeah.
In fact, next week you're doing a panel. What's the panel about next week?
Machine learning at the edge. It's going to be awesome.
I can't wait. Go to staceyoniot.com/edge. And you can sign. It's free. It's an online. It's a Zoom. Is it Zoom? Do you use Zoom?
No, we're using a new platform. So this is a really fun platform called Hopin. And there'll be people from John Deere, Shell, Allegion, Tufts University, lots of places.
It's a knowledge-sharing platform.
Oh, that sounds way fancier than what it is. But sure.
And it's free and you're all invited. And the COVID event that she did a couple of weeks ago is online at staceyoniot.com/COVID. So there's a lot of good stuff at Stacey on IoT, not to mention the IoT podcast she does with Kevin.
I was like,
Toffel.
Not to mention me and
not
Kevin
to mention
Toffel.
the wonderful Kevin Toffel and Stacey Higginbotham. On my left, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark.
We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Jeff Jarvis, teaching from home. Are you teaching from home? Have you been in
teaching from home
at all?
No. March 10 was the last day I was in.
Wow.
I'm teaching from home. Today was a big day for me. Big day.
What
big
happened?
Day. Not a haircut, obviously. I went to the dentist.
Wow.
I went to the
Stacey's
dentist on
been to a
Monday.
doctor. Yeah, I hadn't done this. This is a big outing for me. Yeah.
I'm so impressed.
I was at the dentist on Monday, and it was a totally ancient experience. They were like, we cannot use any of the things that aerosol stuff.
Right.
So they're like hand scraping, and I was like, oh,
yes.
Wow.
this is.
Can you need a mask for your nose and eyes. Mouth has to be open. I don't know.
They're more worried about germs from you. They
need all the PPE, of course.
Yeah.
They're PPE'd up. They're PP'd up. I
just assume everybody has it, and that I have it.
Oh, for that purpose, yes.
For that purpose, yeah. I mean, I know everybody doesn't have it. In fact, it's knock on wood, very few people have it around here, but that could change anytime. I thought you were going to celebrate, Jeff Jarvis, not a visit to the dentist, but the virtual Chipotle Karsten.
Chipotle, wash your mouth out.
Taco Bell?
Wash your mouth out, Taco Bell. So thanks to Karsten, you see that bottle of official Taco Bell hot sauce.
Oh.
Right there. I got 2 of them. Surprise, in the mail. From none other than Karsten. And thank you, Karsten, for all we joke.
Karsten.
We love each other. And then came taco seasoning. An envelope of taco seasoning.
Did it taste like Taco Bell?
In that picture, it was very good. In that picture you see, so I had refried beans and some enchilada sauce and the hot sauce and the tortillas and the cheese.
Yum, yum, yum.
And I've done it. And then you see the result of the next picture. Do you have the next? Yes, there it is. I'm not very artful.
It's a little lopsided.
Did you heat your tortillas before you folded them?
Yeah, it seems odd, doesn't it? Oh, you did.
I think I heated it for too long. That's the problem.
Ah.
Oh, okay. I'm like, ooh.
Stacey is a native of Texas and probably
I know that was not very good. So I'm learning, but I was happy.
Burrito making
in junior high. She
101.
You got to take the burrito class.
I need remedial burrito class.
And then as you get older, you get into tamales.
Ooh, that's sophisticated.
That's graduate school. So I want to be very clear here because we joke each other all the time, but we joke each other with love. Karsten, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll think of you every time I burp.
That's pretty funny. There was actually no meat in any of that.
No, my normal order at Taco Bell.
Just a bean burrito.
Is 2 bean burritos.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that. Yeah. Very happy. And the lemonade, but I don't even have that anymore.
Scooter X is reminding me there's some really good news. CES is returning to Las Vegas in January.
Oh, I am not going.
CES having been a hot spot the last time around.
Seems
a super
like a bad
spreader
idea.
Event. Yeah.
I'm not going. They're going to have a digital something, and no.
You know, the interesting thing.
Stacey, doesn't it change your? We talked about this before. I'm curious what this has changed because we talked about the value of being in this kind of place in person, but our calculation now is very different.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so how do you calculate the value of that?
I think we're also getting better at doing these things. I have to say, Microsoft Build was really incredible. That we're getting better at doing virtual events that have some of the benefit of in person. What you're going to do, for instance, next week with Hopin is a lot more, is less of a presentation. You know, you can get more and more of a dialogue going.
Right.
Yeah, they actually. So one of the reasons we chose it, and I'm not a paid shill for Hopin or anything, but
well, you should be.
They have this.
Hop on that.
We'll see how my event goes. But you can actually start, like, if we were all in the same event, I can go to the people tag, find you, and invite you to, like, a little private video chat, which is kind of the equivalent of grabbing someone at a conference and saying, hey, let's go chat about this over, at the coffee station. So those kind of things, I think, will be helpful.
You know Jeff Pulver? Do you remember Jeff Pulver?
Pulver, of course, yeah.
Pulver's great. So Pulver today he was running 140 conferences.
He's the king of VoIP. And then he became Twitter.
Oh, yes, right? I remember
him. He did a
lot
of Twitter stuff. Yeah. Jeff is just a great character. So today he had a session. He had Dennis Crowley.
Oh, wow.
He had a 17-year-old kid who didn't sell his COVID tracker site for $8 million. He had a musician. Then I had to go to the dentist. And he had people Jeff is just the greatest convener alive.
Right.
And he brought together 120 people, and they were talking, and they were meeting up again in the chat. And it's a kind of a beautiful thing.
Our own Alex Lindsay does now something he calls office hours, 7 days a week, every morning, 7 a.m. Pacific time, and it is about 40 of the most accomplished filmmakers, special effects people, everybody in that space, and then another 300 people watch it. There's questions and answers. I think we're learning. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, I missed the one-on-one. Well, we're learning, maybe there's a way to do something that is almost as good or has some value. I think this idea of the breakouts in Hopin is a great idea.
And without the need, I think I was flying 250,000 miles without the need to fly, without the expense of flying, without the damage to the environment of flying, without the hotel room, without all that stuff. And more time at home.
There's immense pressure in Las Vegas.
To be clear, though.
Go ahead.
I will still go to events when we have when it's safer.
Yeah.
When we have either a vaccine or.
Yeah, but
will you go to as many? Is my question. Will you go to as many? Has this changed your calculation? That's what I was trying to ask. Has this changed your calculation about the?
No.
The bar. No.
It hasn't.
That's
because I live in a place.
Well, I also, you're going to, okay, go ahead. You
tell me why, Leo.
Well, I know why, because you're a good reporter. And the best way to do your job is to have one-on-one briefings, side conversations, to go to events, because that's where you get the grist for your mill.
Yes, I would never have used the grist for my mill phrase, but yes.
Because she's not as old as you are, Uncle Leo.
I
And
remember.
because I'm in the middle of
We used to get our flour
nowhere.
Go
from
down
the
to the grist
stone mill. Had to run around with the donkeys to run the mill, but then we got it back out and made our bread.
But is it also because you live in a rural area? Is that part of it too? That you just want to get out of there?
Well, no, I want to. I have to go places because I can see the volume of people I can see in a short amount of time is
Exactly.
incredibly high.
Yeah, exactly. It's efficient.
So, yeah.
I, on the other hand, who have even without COVID-19 been glad to eschew these events, will just have an excuse not to go now. So I have no intention of ever going to CES again because if it's,
You didn't have fun with Ant?
I had a great time. I love CES. I don't think it's worth the risk. And they're all, you're going to get sick anyway. And, this isn't the last pandemic. It may not even be the last pandemic in my lifetime. So why take a chance, But my point was going to be that I understand why the Consumer Electronics Association or the Consumer Technology Association is doing it. Because, A, there's tons of pressure in Vegas, constant pressure in Vegas to bring it back. That's a town that doesn't exist without tourism, gambling, and the Strip. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. I know that. And it's a beautiful city. I love it. But, I don't know if you remember, Stacey, at CES, but they were building an extension to the convention center that was as big as the North Hall. It was huge across the street. That's almost $1 billion project that will be coming to a close right around then. Why? Because it's for CES. They're building it. 175,000 people come to CES. I don't think there's any way to do CES safely. The CTA says, we're going to regularly clean and sanitize spaces. We're going to offer sanitization stations.
But most of the transmission is not through surfaces.
Right. They're going to widen aisles and seats to increase distancing. There's no way 175,000 people can be 6 feet apart, all of them.
Well, that's because they're going to be lucky to get 75,000.
They would subsume all of Nevada to just.
Well,
yes.
I will say that there's going to be a lot of people who don't come.
Yeah.
So
it'll be a lot. It'll be interesting. The other thing is we don't know what it'll be like in January. It's completely possible, unlikely, but possible. Everybody will say, "Oh, it's over. It mutated into a broccoli-eating germ, and thank God there's no more broccoli, and we can all go to CES."
I would be so
Brussels
sad
sprouts.
without broccoli.
Well, somebody in the chat
Go to
room
Brussels
wanted that.
sprouts, please.
Okay, even better. It could be a tofu-eating germ. They're going.
Let's work on CRISPR right now.
Yeah.
Get the CRISPR running.
They're going to limit touch points by using tech like mobile payments. They're going to provide on-site health services. Like that's.
Yeah.
What's that do?
Is your ICU next to the Microsoft booth?
Yeah, and
You can use a Hyundai
Microsoft won't be there.
ventilator.
They're not doing
They
real
haven't been there in
events
years.
Yeah, I know.
CTA says it's going to look into doing temperature scans,
Oh, Jesus.
and that it plans to issue best practices like wearing a mask, although they haven't said it'll be required. Oh, it's a germ fest already. So,
Again, it was seen as a super spreader event in the early days of the
yeah,
pandemic.
Well, CES is an event. I mean, like,
it's a super spreader
You
for
get-
flu, for
yeah,
colds.
a lot of it. Like, I got
Yeah.
the only time I got the flu was a year I later found out that my flu vaccine was not very effective, and lo and behold, CES gave it to me.
Yeah.
And I would avoid that. I mean, if I didn't get a flu vaccine, I would never go to CES.
The thing that's interesting is, remember, these events, the biggest problem with canceling an event is you've got contracts for hotel space, for convention space. The way CES, I think this is probably how they work. This is how Comdex works. At Comdex, they would buy up all the hotel rooms in town. When you got, and I think it's true at CES too, when you get a hotel room, you don't get it from the hotel, you get it from CES. CES basically buys up all the hotel rooms. And I'm guessing those are long-term contracts. They don't say around about June, I think we'll buy some hotel rooms in January. They have had those and probably owe a considerable amount of money for them, whether they have a show or not.
Yeah, when you do an event, you contract with a venue, or in CES's case, multiple venues, and that's where actually your upfront costs, some of your upfront costs are, most of them.
But the difference is
contracting with them.
And this is
and
how
promising
Sheldon
the rooms.
Adelson made so much money on Comdex. And this is the difference. Shelley, I don't know if he invented it, but he perfected it, would buy up all the hotel rooms. So that's why, I mean, and they jack up the prices 2 or 3 times for the conference. And that's where he made all of his money, huge amount of money. Enough money to fund Macau casinos and a presidency. Yeah. So this was a clever. I don't know if CES does that or not, but Comdex really did, and it was really effective.
But you wonder too, what do others say? So there's a story on Mashable from April that says that CES might have spread COVID through the whole U.S. What do other states say at some level?
We don't know. This is a problem. We don't know. We did. The only thing I've read is, and again, we're not epidemiologists, so anything we say.
They have debunked that. That story was not a responsible story.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no,
right.
don't.
That's a possibility.
But I'm saying that an event, it's the same as the Boston event. An event has an effect on the rest of the country.
They actually looked at the genetic strains from people who had the Boston
one, right? Yeah.
Biogen conference.
Thank you.
But the CES thing is all hypothetical, and it's pretty weak evidence.
Yeah, they say that there are there's a European strain and an Asian strain, right? Let's see. CES secures rooms at a selection of Las Vegas hotels and uses a reservation booking site powered by OnPeak. So yeah, CES does the same thing, which means they probably already committed a lot of money.
When you go buy through CES, though, you tend to pay less for the hotel. I mean, they're still crazy expensive, but there is high demand for it.
Yeah.
Like if you try to get a hotel that's not part of the CES housing block, it's usually more than what a hotel in the CES housing
Everybody's
block
getting rich.
So what happens to the event insurance, which never had pandemic clauses or rarely did? Now,
well, look. I mean, I don't have any insight. But look what O'Reilly did. They just said, we're never doing live events ever again.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
They canceled their they basically killed their live event. And that's probably a twofold thing. One is that early thing we were talking about, which is, maybe online is actually as good or better. And the other is there's such a consequence to canceling an event, financial consequence, that
the risk is too high. And the insurance cost would be now stupendous.
Right. And I honestly don't think this is the last pandemic. I know it's a 100-year pandemic. What's changed is how quickly we move around the world.
Yep.
And we were lucky with SARS and MERS and Ebola because those particular viruses, weren't as dangerous because, SARS, for instance, you always had a temperature before you were contagious, so it was easy to. That's where all that temperature measuring came from. But we now know that's not as useful with COVID because you're often asymptomatic. And
pre-symptomatic.
Pre-symptomatic, yeah. So, anyway, isn't it funny how in the national news, COVID just took a back seat very quickly. I think everybody was so tired of the pandemic and talking about it. And normally the news cycle is literally, it's one day and now what's next? And, it's as if there was no pandemic at all. I guess
that's not really true. There is, if you go to like the New York Times,
they're still covering
the top stories. Yeah. They're still covering it.
Yeah,
but I think he's talking about cable coverage. Yeah, they're still covering it, but
who gets there? Nobody I know who's my age or younger spends time watching cable news.
Yeah, there's still a lot of. You're right. There's a lot of pandemic coverage on the front page of the Times.
But even like the Wall Street Journal, they even have. I know, Jeff, you don't love the Wall Street Journal, but woof.
All right, moving along. I just that actually was kind of the irony of this is apparently it's been on the CES website since May 7th.
No.
Yeah, nobody.
No way.
Yeah, The Verge noticed it and put a story out, and that's why everybody's talking about it. They announced this a month ago.
No, they didn't, because I emailed them like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, all right. Well, this is
ask
what The
them.
Verge is saying. They're saying it turns out they announced this May 7th, but we just noticed.
No, because
No, you don't think so? Okay.
Which would be The Verge admitting they didn't have quite the scoop they thought they had, which is even funnier. But
Yeah, really.
no, because I'm looking at my email.
Because you
I
were
sent them an
interested whether
email.
they were going to have a conference. You wanted to know.
Yeah, well, I was interested because I was reporting on IFA and what
IFA's
IFA was doing. So I
right.
just shot an email over to the
Interesting.
CTA to say, "Hey, big conference, what are you gonna do?"
And what was
And they
their
were like, "We don't know
response?
yet."
Oh, they hadn't decided.
So
So, Android 11 announcement was going to be this week. Was going to be today, I think. Postponed due to the unrest in the United States.
I think that's smart. I mean,
think it is.
Nobody cares about a new phone at the
Sony was
moment.
going to be doing. Yeah, it could be partly because nobody cares. Also, the optics. It looks like it's been challenging for me to think about. Should we do shows? I don't know. I don't know if I want to talk about the tech stuff. It's hard.
Well, and a lot of stores are shut. I mean, like, there's a lot of stores. So if you think about your retail outlets going in, because didn't we talk about getting the phones in physical stores?
Yep.
Those are shut down right now.
Yep.
In a lot of areas. So
Sony's PlayStation 5 game announcement was this week too. They canceled that. I think there's some good sense prevailing that it's just, maybe we shouldn't. We should be. Google's literally, or Android actually, literally said on Twitter, "We're excited to tell you more about Android 11, but now is not the time to celebrate. We'll be back with more soon."
we talked about it last week in the context of the 4A, Google 4A, Pixel 4A. But it's also a huge proportion of America is unemployed and they do not have excess money to spend on anything.
Yeah.
but they
This
have
is not
time
a time
to
for a product
protest.
launch.
Well, sometimes protesting supersedes other issues. Although you have to think that the amount and furor of the protesting was somewhat, I don't know, you think powered by the fact that everybody's been stuck at home for 3 months, not to diminish the righteous anger, but it didn't help that unemployment is at 25%. People have been stuck at home for 3 months. Then George Floyd happens. It was a perfect storm.
Well, yeah,
Right,
if you
and-
think about... Oh, go on, Jeff.
Go ahead. There you go.
I was going to
You go.
say, if you think about the loss of life that has been happening in this country, that has gone almost unacknowledged by our leadership.
Unacknowledged. It's stunning. 100,000
Yes.
people. It's stunning.
You're unemployed. If someone, all you need is a spark in that
Yeah.
situation.
Yep.
And you have time, you have anger, you have personal fear and a stake in this, and you have lost the faith of your country. Of course you're going to go out and protest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the key to this, I was asked to write a piece for an Irish news site, which will be out tomorrow. And I'm going to state the obvious, but you come off of the racial inequity of the impact of COVID. And then on top of that, you have unemployment. And then on top of that, you now have, most important of all, in their family's life, George Floyd. And then on top of that, you have Donald Trump. I don't want to call it a perfect storm or anything, but it just comes together in such a way that, of course, people are angry because but it's not the underlying factors have been here for a century, but they are all out in front of us now.
We've been talking about that early on. We talked about that the virus brought forth the fractions,
Exactly.
the fractures in American society of income inequality. It disproportionately hits people of color. I mean, and now all the businesses that are so highly leveraged. We talked about this last week, Stacey, suddenly collapsing. It just showed what a house of cards we've been living on. And
I also
go ahead, Jeff.
go ahead, Stacey.
Go ahead, Stacey.
No, go.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff.
Well, no. So I confessed in mine. This is what we're seeing is the last stand of the old white man, and I say that as an old white man. And that's really what's happening. It's the fear of being superseded. It's the fear of all that. It's the uneducated old white man, too. And the racial nature of what's happening
that's
can't
fair.
be.
It's not uneducated. It's a legitimate fear to have. It really is. It's not. It's
fear
not,
of
it's
black
not okay.
people. No.
It's not okay. But I can understand why it's making people anxious. Any change to the status quo makes people anxious. And I don't think it has anything to do with education level. It's scary.
Well, it does in terms of the polls and who supports a certain person and who's rock solid there. It is uneducated white men. That is the base.
That is not actually true. There are very educated, rich white men who
There
have
are those
decided
too.
to throw in.
There are those too, but the most solid, ever since 2016, the most solid single demographic has been uneducated white men.
I just say I'm sympathetic. I understand how it's scary to have this. I mean, to have the status quo.
Only if you choose to make people of color scary.
No,
there's no reason for people of color.
It's not
That's what it is.
He's not saying it's people of color.
You're
He's
minority.
It has to do with women. It has to. If we as old white men have been on top and have had all this privilege,
right?
The threat of losing that privilege, I don't care. It's that it's legit. Of course, it's completely legitimate, but it's completely the right thing. Doesn't mean it doesn't make you anxious. I completely think that's a legitimate response to it. Is yikes, my world is changing. It should change.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, women have always had to be twice as good, right?
Right.
And you see that throughout in people of color, gosh, like
4 times,
6 times as good. I don't even know.
100 times.
I don't know the math there. But the point is, when you realize that you've been holding these people who are more accomplished and you're going to have to work as hard as they've having to be, I mean, that's scary as all get out.
Oh, yeah.
People.
No, I'm not diminishing your anxiety either.
No,
I'm just saying I understand across the board.
Jeff,
yeah, we live in interesting times. That is the Chinese curse. And it's very disorienting for people for a variety of reasons. And
but what I'm trying to say is we've made it
of course
into
it's
an us and them disorientation, and it needn't be that in a country that supposedly is built on openness and equality.
Yeah, but it never
shouldn't be disoriented.
It never was.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
We had a great American myth. I would love us to live up to it.
The paradox.
I would love us to live up to it, and maybe we will. Maybe this is the beginning, but it's going to be a paroxysm. It's going to be disruptive. It's going to be upsetting. But it's a chance. It's the only way we can make it this, change. But this country was built on slavery, on the complete, disruption of the indigenous peoples. And by the way, who's really suffering from COVID-19? Are Native Americans stuck in reservations, getting very little health care. Yep. We're still mistreating them. So, the history of this country, it's so different from the mythos. And yet, I want to embrace the mythos because that's what, by the way, that's why we've all immigrated here. All except the Native Americans have immigrated here because we believed this in this shining city on the hill. We wanted to be part of what we thought was going on in America. Let's make it so. I think it's great, but it's anxious. It's anxious making. By the way, President Obama is now speaking, and he's using Zoom. So there.
With by the way, a Zoom logo on it, which none of us have to have.
Oh, I wonder if Zoom's sponsoring. Oh, Lord.
I would certainly hope
that is
not.
Another sin in America.
MSNBC slapped its logo over the Zoom logo, but there's a Zoom logo.
Oh, that's interesting, huh? So YouTube, this is a big shift for YouTube. Getting back to some Google content briefly, this is a big shift for YouTube. Remember, they were all in on bringing in celebrities and scripted content. They had spent hundreds of millions of dollars on that, and they had a huge success. They had many, but I think the biggest was Cobra Kai, the reintroduction, the reboot of the Karate Kid franchise. They had 2 hugely successful seasons. Reportedly, they will not air season 3. They're going to let it go to another network, and there are no plans for a 4th season, and that's because YouTube's shifting away from this kind of content. Even though it's been very successful, they want to do more creator-driven content, the kind of stuff YouTube's known for. That makes sense, frankly.
That does make sense. I mean, one's a new and upcoming model of making, and there's money to be made there.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
They're doing, they recently announced a slate of #WithMe originals. I don't know. I think it's a...
What is With Me Originals?
Yeah, what's that?
#WithMe. Yeah, let's get it.
Well,
right.
that explains
What is hashtag?
If it's a hashtag, it must be cool.
What is the #? With Me Originals?
I don't know.
mean?
I just saying. That's a good question. Let's go to YouTube and find out, shall we?
Oh no.
Let's go to the video.
Let's go to the tape. I'm sorry that we are at the simulcasting with the president. You can go watch that. All right, it's all right.
We won't say anything interesting. You can catch us later.
So get by together, #WithMe. Build a garden, #WithMe. Watch a concert a day, #WithMe. Stay home and help save lives with #WithMe. Meditate with me.
Huh.
So,
Is this like part of the we're all together in this whole COVID-19 thing?
I think they're trying to create a new style of, yes, I guess, or a new style of content. Because remember how well they did with the, what do they call those? Play With Me, where the streaming the video games. I think they want to create something kind of a movement like that. I don't know.
Which, like, for things that aren't video games?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Secret DoubleTree chocolate chip cookie recipe test. Live bake with me.
Hello, my beautiful lovelies. Thanks so much for...
So I guess it's lonely people
She
in
has
there.
cute hair.
You like that, huh?
Sorry. I was like, that is a cute haircut.
That's Emmy made in Japan. 1.95 million subscribers. What?
The kitchen is also cute.
Amazing. Amazing. 1.95 million subscribers. That's why they want to do With Me. Bake with me.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've got people that you feel are your friends, and you get together and you
Here's Farm
do
with
something
me.
with them.
Farm.
Oh, that's cute.
Hashtag
Go cow,
with me.
go! Look at it.
Cow farming,
It's
milk
adorable.
feeding, pretty girl, modern Tatra military truck, cow shed
Wait.
cleaning.
Is she feeding milk to the cow?
Cows drink milk? Yeah.
Oh,
isn't
that's
that-
like
isn't that kind of-
cannibalism.
No, it's
Yeah,
like,
isn't
is
that
it a
weird?
baby cow?
Oh, maybe it's a baby cow.
Oh, maybe.
She's feeding milk to a baby cow. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like, wait a second. Grown-up cows drink milk? I thought only grown-up humans drink
That's
milk. We're weird.
cannibalism.
It's not cannibalism.
Stay home, work out with me, legs and hip strengthening. Oscar the Grouch says, stay home with me.
Yeah, this is a COVID thing, but also like a let's all hang out and
Led
watch
Zeppelin
YouTube together.
global watch party with me. Huh. Yeah, I guess this is a COVID thing. Anyway, the new owners, unnamed. Who's gonna buy this Cobra Kai? It doesn't say. The new owners the plan is, according to 9 to 5 Google, air season 3, get the back catalog, and then perhaps they'll spend the money on season 4. But that's really wild that season 3's done, and YouTube's, never mind. It was really successful. In fact, as I remember, is what everybody
that's when
told
you sell
me.
something.
Right, that's right. That's why John Krasinski sold some good news. SGN. Let's see. Should we talk about? Oh God. Shall we talk about Facebook and? I think even you, Jeff, finally had.
What do you mean even?
Even you're a Facebook apologist, are you not?
I am not.
I think I
F
put you
you.
maybe. I would not poke you with a stick like Leo just
we sent
did,
you a
but I
burrito.
would say that
No, all you sent
I
me
would
was the
say
sauce.
you were
You sent me
way
the
more
whole damn
lenient
burrito.
on Facebook.
Maybe you could insult me, but
You don't want me to FedEx an actual Taco Bell burrito, dude.
well, that's what I said. So he asked me for
Probably
the address.
arrived
Carson
completely
did.
fine.
Probably.
I ruined his joke. Yeah, right. Poor Carson. I ruined his joke because he asked me for the address, and I said, smart ass. I said, burritos don't travel well, and so I ruined it. But it came anyway.
Poor Karsten. So Facebook's employees, some high-profile employees actually quitting, the rest doing a virtual walkout, upset over Mark Zuckerberg's continued unwillingness to censor the president. Thoughts?
I'd walk out too. I mean, I don't know what Mark Zuckerberg's doing here, but it's not a good look for him. And, we've all known that he is not the most empathetic human being on the planet. So in a job that...
Can you deny he's doing exactly what's right for the company?
Oh, yeah.
You can.
I think it hurts the company, yes.
It hurts the company. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I wrote a piece.
He has said, so, and I don't disagree with this. He said it on Fox News, social media platforms should not fact-check the president. He said
when your president is not telling the truth, maybe you don't fact check a president when they're actually. I think you should always fact check a president, but that's just my journalistic training.
I don't think that's
I think that's the job of journalists and newspapers. Is it the job of the platform?
Right. No, and I that's why it's a false battlefield, I think. And so what I argue is that the issue here isn't fact-checking him. The issue here isn't taking him down either. I think Twitter did the right thing. The issue here is, what does Facebook stand for? And by doing nothing and choosing to do nothing, Facebook all but endorses the behavior. And when you have your employees walking out, when you have this going on, when you are in the midst of this horrible crisis, and this is happening, you can no longer just stand back and say, oh, it's freedom of expression. He has plenty of expression. It's not the issue. And nor can you stand back and say, oh, we don't fact check. That's not the issue. The issue is, what does Facebook stand for? What does Mark Zuckerberg stand for? What does this give to the public and the community that he has there? And he can't run away from that. So I think the Jack and Mark got into a fact check fight there. I think that's the wrong place to go here. They fact check stuff. That's not what is needed here. What's needed is for Mark Zuckerberg to say, this is unacceptable. Inciting violence is unacceptable.
Well, they would certainly say it if it were.
That's why it's bad for the company.
If it were ISIS putting up a post, they would not only say that, they would take it down, right? In fact, they do. They take terrorist posts down. They don't want
terrorist posts down, but head of state posts. I think I can argue that Jack did the right thing, leaving it up, but not promoting it, putting a warning in front of it. In the one case, adding more information, but leaving it up for people to see what he says, I think is a legitimate decision that Jack made. But I think that Mark Zuckerberg, the other thing I said was, it's time to have this. I said this before last weekend. There's time to have a meeting of the oversight board, and the oversight board should have their own damn meeting, whether or not Facebook likes it. If they don't, then why does it exist?
Right.
Now, of all times,
I feel bad for those
it
people.
has to. And one of them was a friend of mine, Alan Rusbridger, the editor of the Guardian, former editor of the Guardian, and I haven't communicated with him on this. But if they don't at least deliberate on this issue, and there are things to deliberate on here, there are choices. I'm not suggesting that this is a case where the oversight board gives Mark Zuckerberg an order. No. But if you have 20 brilliant people there and you don't convene them to at least advise.
He also spoke to the president on Friday.
That's scary in and of itself.
And apparently does that regularly. At least I saw some reporting.
That's scary.
I really don't know what the answer is. On the one hand, I almost feel like they should be common carriers like the phone company, and they should just put up whatever anybody wants to put up. If they did that, I think there would be a lot more willingness on the part of its users, to both Twitter and Facebook, to think critically about the stuff they see, knowing that anything goes. It gives a false sense of security if Facebook blocks some stuff, like, oh, well, the worst stuff is not getting up here, so I probably can trust most of it. That seems bad too. And then it really seems bad to put anybody, especially a Silicon Valley executive, in charge of determining right and wrong. That seems pretty tough. What would be wrong if Facebook and Twitter just said, okay, we're not, anything goes?
Well, that may be where we end up without Section 230 in a sense. The back end of this, is so Section 230 gives them the sword and the shield, both. Right. So everybody concentrates on the shield, but it gives them the sword. What happened before 230, and I highly recommend Jeff Kossoff's book, The 26 Words That Created the Internet. It is the definitive work on 230. Before 230, what publishers said, my lawyers said to me was, no, don't touch anything, because if you touch it once, and then you fail the next time, then you are more liable. That's what 230 got rid of. So you're going to have one extreme or another. You're going to have, on the one extreme, nobody can do nothing here because I could get in trouble for it. Or the other extreme is, I'm not touching nothing because I don't want to be blamed for it. I'm just a common carrier man. And that it would be an awful, awful internet. Now, I also put up a post. I'm going to go off for 1 second here, pardon me. But I put up a post where I took Benjamin Franklin's 1761, I think it was, apology for printers. And he wasn't an apology at all, but people were pissed at him for the stuff that he was printing. And it wasn't so much his newspaper, it was the ads that he printed for people. And they got mad at him. And he went on a beautiful rant that I took the word printer out and added in platform and social media and post and serve instead of the verb and noun print and printer. And it becomes clear that Franklin saw that printing was a platform.
Right.
And he said, there are things that I will not print. But if all you want is the things I agree with, you're not going to like that. Or if all you want is the things that you want and agree with, that's impossible.
That's exactly
so he
what
saw
Mark,
printing as a platform.
That's
but he made judgments. He said there are things that I will not do. And Zuckerberg, too, makes judgments. And he's not made a judgment about Trump. And that's where
he pointed out in the phone call, they pulled a Trump ad down in March that misled users into thinking a campaign survey was the census, the U.S. Census. They did take that down. Yes. So he takes something down. He said in this phone call, this is The Verge reporting, that he's worried that free speech will only ratchet down. Over time, he said, in general, we tend to add more policies to restrict things more and more. If every time there's something that's controversial, your instinct is, okay, let's restrict a lot, then you do end up restricting a lot of things. I think eventually it'd be good for everyone. It is kind of Franklin-esque what he said. There's some things that we won't do, but most of the things we let through.
Well, but his line is very, sorry, Stacey, his line is a millimeter up from sea level. It's not very high. Stacey, sorry.
No, I was going to say he has made plenty, and Facebook as a platform has made plenty of editorial judgments. And
well, you could argue the algorithm does that in the newsfeed every single second, whether it's
right, and they
editorial
focus on how to tune that,
right.
And they have historically made there's a couple things, and if you look at even free speech in the U.S., there are things that fire in a crowded theater is one of our favorites, right? There's pornography, obscenity. That's not actually a free speech. I think that's a sending it through the mail kind of legal argument. But there are things that we have, as a society, made a judgment about. There are things that, and I should say as a society based on like constitutional rights. As a private company, Zuckerberg and co. have made similar editorial judgments about similar categories.
Breasts.
And sometimes
breasts.
They've been wrong.
Right. I mean, they did the naked children and the Vietnam photo and breasts and breastfeeding. Yes.
So the key that I think we're looking for here is, do you say the president is lying, or do you say we don't want to incite violence, which is kind of like a fire in a crowded theater argument?
And ding, ding, ding. Exactly, Stacey.
And this is a really hard. I mean, these are big constitutional law cases for a reason. They're hard for people, and we have all these educated judges and, lawyers that get paid a lot and have thought about this a lot. We have like dozens of really smart people basically trying to figure this stuff out, and they really haven't been able to. I mean, I'll know it when I see it is kind of a big dodge. It was probably it's the right call, but it's a dodge.
Right.
So leaving that to what is essentially Mark Zuckerberg, that is scary. And that's what I think people freak out about, is because you've got, how old is he? 35? 38?
Well, And as somebody pointed out on Twit, here you have a guy who never was not rich. Like he never had a chance.
Right.
He never had a chance to have normal developmental 20s. He went 0 to a million.
You have this person who is probably more isolated.
Yeah.
Than other people whose life experience does not at all mirror any. And there is even a legal argument an argument in legal circles. How much does life experience? How much should it affect your arguments, your judgments? If you talk to like Sonia Sotomayor, she's like, yes, 100%. You talk to someone like John Roberts, he's probably like, no, even though it does. So you've got this person who is probably completely unequipped to really see and understand the issue at a level that they should, and the importance that his employees and his users think is real. And so I think the walkout here is a cry to saying, hey, listen to us. You're not the only decider here.
Let me understand that, Stacey. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but I think there's a little bit of a conundrum in there, is that in the end, so what I think I hear you saying is, and I agree, as I said it too, make this judgment with the help of others, with the help of your employees and your users and the oversight board and smart people. However, it's still his decision then, because he's the boss. It's his party. So in a way, I hear you saying, I don't trust you to make this decision, Mark Zuckerberg. Don't make it. On the other hand, I'm hearing you saying, yeah, no, make it.
I don't trust him to make the decision in isolation.
Alone.
Well, isn't that why he created this editorial board or whatever they call it?
No,
that's.
I don't know if he can actually make this decision. That's why I feel I want to fall down on one side or the other. Like theoretically, he should be able to make this decision. But the Mark Zuckerberg we've known is not someone who I would trust to make this decision, even after he's listened to people. And it's not just because I disagree with his decision. I just don't feel like he's empathetic enough. He's not. He doesn't have the mindset.
He's the boss, but he is the boss, and so I'm going to push you a little bit.
Okay.
He's the hand you're dealt. So what do you expect of him?
If he behaves like this, I expect. I am glad that his employees are walking out. Hopefully his users will abandon ship.
I'm going to quote Casey Newton here in The Verge, who says that the people he spoke to said that the majority of Facebook employees supported Mark. It was a small group. It was only 100 or so people in the walkout. But people were reluctant to say they supported Mark because it was such a flashpoint. Yeah, they didn't want the opprobrium. Zuckerberg, so Newton got a recording of this presentation that Mark did on Tuesday to his staff. And one of the quotes, according to the recording obtained by The Verge, Zuckerberg described being upset by Trump's recent posts, one of which warned protesters that when the looting starts, the shooting starts. But, quote, and this is Zuckerberg speaking, I knew that I needed to separate out my personal opinion from what our policy is and the principles of the platform we are running are, knowing that the decision we made was going to lead to a lot of people being very upset inside the company and a lot of the media criticism we're going to get. So he's not completely unaware. He sounds like he's self-aware. He
can't be unaware. This is the same thing, Matt.
We've given this guy, rightly or wrongly, this guy has huge influence worldwide. He's got 2.5 billion.
I think you're actually giving him too much credit, but that's fine.
I don't know. A lot of people get their news from Facebook. I
don't think most people see Donald Trump on Facebook. I don't think anybody sees Donald Trump on Facebook.
That's not even germane. They get their news from Facebook and from the algorithmically generated Facebook news.
Weird news. They get news that promotes Trump or promotes.
They get very little.
Whatever they're doing.
2% of their. It was 4% at its highest was news. They get hardly any news from Facebook. Very little. Which is to say, people don't get much news.
Now, I got rid of Facebook again because I couldn't take it. But for the month or two I was on Facebook, there's definitely in that stream content that sways you one way or the other.
You're weird. you're weird.
I don't think so. It wasn't just
you're
my
getting
family
news.
and
Most people aren't
friends.
getting news. Most news is a tiny portion. Now, I can argue that.
It's all,
and say that's
everything in there
irresponsible, too.
is opinion of some kind or another. It's a polemic of some kind or another. Even if it's
about
just
burritos.
Even if it's just, well, maybe it's burritos, but it's not. It's a lot of time. Oh, look at this influencer pretending to drill put up a board and then getting in a Mercedes. There's content in there. You may not call it news in your standard of what news is. It's news in the standard of what humans consider information about the world around them. And Mark controls it. He has a huge bully pulpit. Now, I don't think he controls it with his, like, oh, we should do this, we should do that. I think it's not that. I mean, I think the algorithm controls it, and he and his team give the rules to the algorithm.
I think you're going.
They're very powerful, though. You can't say they're not powerful.
Yeah, but I think that in ways that do not have evidence. I don't think evidence is there. Nonetheless, I'm critical.
Wait a minute. You don't think that people make decisions about politics based on what for some degree based on what they read on Facebook?
I come back to Ben Franklin and John Milton and
when Franklin's
Wilkes.
talking, he's talking as not a publisher, but as a printer, right?
No, he was talking as both.
Because he ran a print shop. He did have a newspaper.
He was also a publisher. He had a newspaper.
But I bet you that he made a distinction between what he'd be willing to run through his printing press and what he would be putting out over his name in his newspaper.
Don't know. We're actually not sure. Historians aren't sure what the apology is referring to. What kerfuffle, because they don't have the record. It was probably an ad in the newspaper. But we also have John Milton. And John Milton wrote the legendary Areopagitica in 1644 against the licensing of books in the UK. And I saw a lot of parallels between the Oversight Board and the Stationers' Company, which was a private entity that was supposed to license and protect us from bad books. And Milton was inspired in great measure by his visit to Galileo, while Galileo was on house arrest because he had dangerous ideas. And Milton is saying that if we don't exercise our minds by hearing the good and the bad and finally deciding what is good, then, I'll be less articulate than him. We're going to end up with mush minds, right? So that's why I like Jack's view. Leave it up. It's out there anyway. The New York Times is going to report it. It's going to be all over. But Jack had a stand. Jack said this incites violence.
Ironically.
That's the question I have.
I mean,
Zuckerberg.
He took stands late. It was very late to the game.
Oh, he was. And I disagreed with his stand about ads. I disagree with lots of things. I'm just saying that in this one moment in time, I'll praise the one and push more on the other.
I will say that, Jeff, you are in the minority. According to Pew, 88% of Americans say that social media companies now have at least some control over the mix of news that people see each day. 55% of U.S. adults get their news from social media either often or sometimes, which is up 8% from 2018. 28% say they get their news often from social media, up from 20% in 2018. So,
but that's what does that mean, Leo? That means oftentimes
people get their news from Facebook.
Who do I follow? It's not Facebook. It's who you choose to follow on Facebook.
No, because
if you follow some of my neighbors.
Facebook shows you things that once you start clicking on things, Facebook will start showing you more things like it. And that's how you get people escalating down this weird trail of like conspiracy theories and anti-vax data, or think about all the stuff targeting moms around.
Facebook shows you a subset of the people you follow, full stop. So if you don't follow Alex Jones, you don't see Alex Jones.
You should follow. It also recommends who you will follow. It does.
Yeah, but I don't think that's I would argue that's not a major factor, and I want to see the evidence.
No, that is not true at all. Because when you go on Facebook and it's like, oh, it's kind of like you're interested in this, their whole business model is to find demographics that you fit in and to draw your attention to those things, and they do a really good job of it. And if you're sort of trying out weird ideas, they'll help you try those out till you get all the way down the path of those weird ideas. That's what they do. That's how they make their money.
The real problem I have with both of your arguments here is that it's a case of the third person effect, right? That there's tons of people out there that are affected by this, but I'm okay. I'm above it. But there's a lot of people who are just too stupid for this. And I think we always that's what both Franklin and Milton are trying to say to us. You weren't until a minute ago, but then you started into the algorithm is really taking people down a bad spot and it's going to ruin them. I don't buy that.
Researchers have looked at Facebook and seen that people are unaware that the algorithm is picking stuff up for them and even deciding what posts they see. Yeah,
the next step, Stacey, is that does this change their whole worldview?
Does it change everybody's? No, but it does change some, and it pushes.
No, I think they were already there, man. They were already there. No, which goes back to our first discussion. We are a racist country where the racists are going to find racist. Sorry, Carson, you got to add that now.
No, you're wrong on this one. How many things have you bought based on seeing Instagram ads for? What was that linen shirt that you think? Some jacket.
That's why I also deleted Instagram.
Sorry, not a linen jacket.
My Lord, Stacey, I would not wear a linen shirt.
You bought a jacket. You bought some weird jacket. I remember that.
I did buy a jacket on Instagram.
Yeah, people complimented it. It's a nice jacket. What's the problem?
Okay, so
I watched certain shows and there are certain ads on them. Why are there ads on this show?
You see something enough times, there's influence, and you go down that path. And especially, and this is really important, if you are in a vulnerable spot, or maybe you feel sad or whatever, if you feel that, then you're more vulnerable to those messages. And yes, you can be smart as anything, but you're still going to buy the jacket.
Show me those studies. I'm sorry, but that's third person effect. Look, that's some people are vulnerable, but I'm not. They're vulnerable out there. This is going to affect them. They're sheeple, but I'm not.
No, people are not born racist. That's not.
Oh, they're trained racist very early in their lives.
They're trained racist. And
by their parents.
It's only their parents that have that influence?
Facebook.
Oh, wait a minute. You're saying only the parents train them that way?
I'm going to take perfectly sane, well-educated, normal person and give them Facebook for a week, and they're going to turn into a complete
Not for a week, but there's a gradual erosion.
No.
You don't think
it's the same as the myth? It's the myth of the filter bubble,
Do you think that the anti-vax movement would be as widespread and strong as it is without the help of social media?
Yes, because I've been in the kinds of these towns.
It would not.
Absolutely would not.
I lived in Austin.
Austin.
Oh, she's frozen. Hold on a sec. We'll get her back.
Oh, that horrible sound. That ringing back. There you are. You're back. You said you lived in Austin, and then you froze.
I lived in Austin. My friends who went to Waldorf schools, I can tell you that not everybody is anti-vax, but with Facebook, more and more of them they would consider things that they wouldn't consider before. And from consideration, absent absolute scientific certainty,
it might play into your predisposition, but if you didn't consume these it's YouTube too, by the way, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, but YouTube and Facebook primarily for normal people. And I think you might have a predisposition to believe that thing, but it's the constant repetition of it from a variety of sources that we just go, oh, well, everybody believes this. It must be true.
So let me be very clear that we know what we know about the murder of George Floyd from a 17-year-old putting the video up on Facebook. That is how we know. Because mainstream media isn't covering this, never covered this. It's only because of Living While Black and Black Lives Matter on social media that we have the movements we have now to try to tear down the racism that you say is being built there. So this is what Franklin is saying. You're going to have both. And at the end, the only solution to this is not an algorithm and not a regulation. It's education. Full stop. And the problem is that there are uneducated people who don't respect science and don't respect other people. And that's our problem in society. And we're ignoring that fundamentally by trying to blame get ready, moral panic about the technology and the algorithm. We're going for an easy bad guy and an easy answer. The problem is this country has devalued education over generations.
I think it's more nuanced than that. I think that all humans have a lot of inputs, and you can drown out some bad inputs like Facebook with good inputs like education. But
don't call Facebook entirely a bad influence. What did I just say about George Floyd?
Well, I'm not convinced that the news
to
media
dismiss
would,
it entirely. You are dismissing the people who are using this platform for that purpose.
I'm not convinced that the news media didn't have a lot to do with the dissemination of that story.
After that, yes, but the only way it started was, of course they did. But it started because that's brave, probably scarred for life 17-year-old girl, young woman, had the courage to record a murder by police in front of her and put it onto social media because that was what she was capable of, which wasn't there years ago.
True.
And so to dismiss Facebook,
it was much easier
to
for
dismiss
her
Facebook as
to
this
publish
cesspool
it.
is really bad. That has no nuance, Leo. That has zero nuance. You're dismissing all the voices that are then there. That is Franklin's point. That is Milton's point.
Well,
you've
actually,
got to give people respect in the end.
I'm arguing for zero control. I think that it's a mistake to show some control because I think that's misleading, and it also lends to editorializing by some guy who just happened to get there.
You think Jack did the wrong thing?
I don't know. I mean,
Stacey, what do you
I
think
choose
about
to
Jack's
avoid
move?
the streams, to be honest with you.
No, I think he did the right thing on Twitter. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
The Twitter?
Yeah.
I'm just making
Would
sure.
you-
I just want to clarify.
What decision do you think, if you could sit down with Zuckerberg at a very nice dinner in his house and tell him, and he left saying, "You're right, Stacey," what would you tell him?
That's a good question. I don't know.
The only time I talked to Mark Zuckerberg, we talked about Memcache. So I'm like, well,
I don't know.
Oh no, we froze again.
That's a good way to freeze, though, I must say. I think that's literally Stacey's response.
oh man, that was awesome.
No, I think that's a great question because
Yeah, I mean, I'm really.
the problem is this is a tough.
This is hard.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's very hard. Stacey,
So yeah, I'm like, oh.
have you bought yourself
would-
time with a freeze there?
I would ask him where his loyalties lie. I think I would want to understand, is this a moment to do the best for your business? Is this the moment to do the best for the country? Is there a larger picture that you should think about here? Because for his business, maybe it's, I don't know if, he knows way more about what's going on under the covers at Facebook than I do. So maybe that's the right decision based on his strategy and where he's trying to take it. But businesses do not exist. I know they feel like they do today, but they exist as part of a society. And I don't think it was the right decision for society. And I would try to convince him of that.
I have to
we
say
completely
neither
agree there.
I have to say neither
You and I agree.
Facebook nor Twitter had any difficulty with COVID-19 and blocking bad information on both
Science
those.
is a lot different from politics.
Right. So I think that it's possible to do a good job in some circumstances. It's much more difficult when you have a norm-busting president who is willing to, use those platforms for his own ends to know how to handle this. Because the norm says the president should have a bully pulpit. Now, as Denise Howell pointed out on a Sunday, he doesn't. He's got a bully pulpit with or without Twitter.
Yeah.
So, but he's very, very good at using Twitter, and Brad Parscale, his campaign manager, is very, very good at using Facebook, and that is a lot harder than saying, well, this is bad scientific information. So I don't know, and that's the problem: is who should be the arbiter of truth? It's one thing to say who should be the arbiter of truth in science.
Truth. In this case, it's decency. It's I don't want to use the word civility because that's loaded. But that's what Stacey was saying a minute ago. It's what I'm trying to say too. What do you stand for? What does your company stand for?
Well,
right?
do you
choose to sell cigarettes or not? CVS at some point said, we're in the health business.
Yeah,
we're not going to sell cigarettes. Right?
I have to say, some of the things Newton talks about in this phone call, 85-minute recording that he reviewed on The Verge. Here's a quote from Zuckerberg. If we're entering a period where there may be a prolonged period of civil unrest, then that might suggest we need different policies, even just temporarily in the U.S. for some period compared to where we were before.
Who's saying that?
Zuckerberg. And we have some precedents for what that might look like. He's talking about the COVID misinformation. So I think he's thinking about this. I don't think Mark is
it's not blind.
Evilly planning his, world domination, I don't think. But it's very difficult with a politician and politics compared to science.
So, Stacey, what do you think about Snap's decision?
What was Snap's decision?
So the difference here is Snap. One second, and I'll preamble. Facebook says we will not judge anything off platform. We will only judge that which you put on the platform, which is why it took so long for them to get to Alex Jones. They were judging that. It's why these other sites that are still up there, it's an issue. Snap said, we're going to judge what you do on other platforms. We're going to do off the world, and we're not going to promote you. So Snap made a different decision that was about their disapproval of not what he did on their platform, but who he is and what he does. What'd you think of that?
Given Snap's audience, I'm okay with that. Just because
they're even more mush-minded.
Yeah. Well, no, they're younger. They're more influenceable. I don't know. They're
more easily influenced.
And I also think that the president is doing such a bad job right now in terms of the country that it's hard not to take a stand against him, I guess, or it's hard not to take a stand that's pretty. It's not just that he's a polarizing figure. He's also, this hurts me. He doesn't live up to what I think America's ideals are, even if you want to take the cynical view of what America's ideals are. So I feel like if you are a business owner and you overlook this, it really does feel like you're complicit in something that you're going to regret later on. And so I understand why Snap would make that decision.
So look, the other question Leo asked a while ago. Sorry. I was going to ask you
it's also a much smaller platform. So, but yeah, go ask your deep thought.
The other question Leo asked a while ago. Do you think this was good or bad for Snap's business? Just to pick
I think it's probably going to be good for Snap's business. I mean, it's
so now
existing.
To Facebook.
I think it would probably be a little bit harmful to Facebook's business in the short term.
Which would be?
I think Facebook for Facebook to take a stand against Trump's messaging.
The cynic would say, Facebook's looking forward to the windfall profits from Trump's massive ad campaigns. They've already spent many millions of dollars and plan to spend many more before November. That's pretty cynical. And I think Mark's probably made enough money that he can afford not to take. I honestly wish Facebook would say we're not going to do any political ads. That would be something I would ask Mark to do at dinner.
I was against that at Twitter. I thought that was the wrong move. I can't remember what you said at the time, Stacey.
I don't remember what I said.
What would be wrong with Facebook saying, we can't control it. We got the Russians. I don't know what's going on. Well, let's just stop taking ad money for political ads.
Because it's my congressperson here, especially right now. I'll give you the answer right now, because I want to work with my congressperson here, and I can't go knocking on any doors. What I can do is give them money to put ads up on Facebook, targeted.
I thought Facebook did influence people, though.
To our district. Ads do.
Oh, ads do.
Ads do,
but not the news announcements from my friends telling me about their terrible vaccine experience.
It's a playing field, right? Yes, you can put up stuff to either side of anything. Witness Benjamin Franklin once again, and then it's a playing field that's there. If you get rid of all social media targeted advertising, my problem is that you're left with television. You're left with big money.
I don't think political ads in general are a good idea. Period.
Well, there's that.
Period.
There's that.
They're short
and other countries.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, let's just ban. I mean, but since we don't ban political ads, we can afford to do that. Yeah, but we could afford to do that on social media.
If you're going to do it on one, you're then driving that.
Well, it would be nice to do it elsewhere. But we're talking about Facebook here. I'm not talking about ABC's decisions. But why wouldn't Facebook just
because
ban
only
ads?
only big money can then run for office in this country, including small
you know
offices.
What? I don't think that's true because my daughter is not on TV. I am not on TV. Like, I don't see ads unless they're on the internet, period, or in a physical magazine.
You're probably unusual, though.
Yeah, you are. You're a comic freak.
I don't know in a generation. It would be interesting to see, like, how that has changed, because it has changed, and I don't think it's that unusual in a certain demographic. Let me rephrase that.
Actually, I blocked all the ads on Facebook while I was on Facebook, so I didn't see any ads. So, honestly.
Joe Trippi said in his, when did Joe Trippi write it? Joe Trippi book.
That's one of the beauty parts of the internet.
The revolution will not be televised, 2004. So he said television was over then. We then have Citizens United. We still have big money involved in all the elections. And it's not just Facebook. Facebook is actually little money. It's pretty damn cheap. It's quite cheap to advertise.
Super cheap. Oh my gosh. I can run an ad campaign on Facebook for so little.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right?
They're very effective too.
$21 million spent on Facebook ads by the Trump campaign in 2018.
How much revenue? 2018?
I mean, they may be cheap, but if you buy a lot of them, it adds up.
That's true. I'm not spending that much, but wow, go them.
Facebook revenue in 2018 was $55 billion.
Trump bought 286,476 ads in 2019, spending $21.5 million.
And Clinton, unfortunately, didn't.
This, by the way, this wasn't in 2016. This was last year.
Last year. Yeah.
The campaign goes on.
Brad Pascal gets a huge cut of that.
Oh, yeah. He's got several Ferraris.
Yes. And a yacht.
All right. Well, I don't think we're ever going to solve this, but we gave it the college try.
Yeah, well, you give it what you
We
wanted
gave
to
it
do
the
show.
Jeff
People were
and
expecting
Stacey
this.
yell at each other for a while.
Exactly.
Try.
I didn't yell at you. I yelled at Leo.
I'm offended, horribly offended, Jeff. So
I showed me to
offended.
yell. Get me to yell about Pixel Buds. That'll get me to yell.
You still having trouble with them?
I sent back the second pair. And now there's stories saying they don't work. I guess I just never should buy anything early.
Just Google. Just maybe Google isn't good at headphones. Let's just go with that.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what's...
They're wonderfully designed. Oh, they're beautifully designed. I love them, but they don't work.
You know what's grinding my gears?
Tell us.
What?
HBO Max. AT&T, which, of course, is the corporate parent. That was good. I liked it, Stacey. Let me repeat that. HBO Max. Remember the world? Remember net neutrality? Remember the idea that a company shouldn't favor its own content or paid content over competing companies' content? Remember when the FCC chairman said, "Oh, that's just nobody. That would never. We don't need that." Nilay Patel writing an article, very upset, and he's right. AT&T has announced that any content coming in over HBO Max will not affect your data caps if you're an AT&T subscriber. However, Netflix and Disney Plus certainly will. It sounds a little anti-competitive to me.
Super anti-competitive. So anti-competitive that when Comcast bought Universal, the FCC and the FTC said, hey, for the next 7 years, you cannot prioritize your content. And Comcast said, sure. But that deal, it'll be up soon.
Yep.
And what we're seeing here is the end of net neutrality. Yep. And I tweeted this. I'll say it again for everybody who didn't see it. This is important because it puts a cost associated with independent content like Leo, but also things like, hey, are you going to watch a protest video and suck up your data cap, or are you just going to sit back and enjoy Friends? My God, you're going to watch Friends.
Yeah, of course you are.
And
AT&T owns HBO Max. AT&T will say, no. We have this sponsored data system. Any company can pay us to excuse the service from data caps. But of course, AT&T owns HBO Max, so it's just shuffling money from one division to another. And Nilay says there are only 3 streaming services that pay for sponsored data on AT&T's network. They're all owned by AT&T. All owned by AT&T.
You want to regulate something?
But AT&T, I remember, promised that they would never do such a thing.
never believe the telcos. Never, ever,
They're
ever.
evil.
These are people who the internet was a gift that they didn't want. They didn't build for it, and now they want to charge you for every second. And the idea of actually making a bigger internet and then having a bigger pie for everything else, totally not in their worldview. It drives me absolutely bonkers. I hate them. I'm done.
And then there's the German newspaper that is delivering beer.
So, yes.
This is from Jeff's Buzz Machine blog.
Everybody loves this one. So I was reading Die Zeit, and Die Zeitung bringt jetzt Bier. There's some German words for you this week. And the Mindener Tageblatt newspaper saw that their local merchants were suffering, and they already had a fulfillment operation, which was delivering newspapers and taking ad material in and doing things like that. So they started delivering beer, shoes, and office supplies. It's not going to make them rich. They have a
we talked about
it's like 250 to 350 euro.
This is the shoes story. I think we talked about beer and shoes last week, didn't we? Wasn't that?
Oh, did we? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mess that up?
I think it was the title of the show. Well, no, I didn't put two and two together.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't talk about this last week on this show.
Okay.
I know you do a lot of shows, Leo.
I do a lot of
I don't
shows.
think that's...
If I could just get this fine Zimschnecki.
So then
Zimschnecki
my colleague
with my news.
Zelina, who used to work at Der Standard in Austria, said they bought a local bread company. So you could get bread delivered every day. Click on the link with the news.
I want my Zimschnecki. How do you say that? That looks good.
It does look good. So there we go. You can get a whole thing.
Oh, Stacey, look at this.
Delivered every day.
Oh, basket.
Ooh, basket full of croissants and
croissants with a cinnamon roll in there.
Cinnamon roll.
Zimschnecke.
Zimschnecke. And a choco muffin. And an orange saft. And a Darbo marmalade. And some corn spit. Oh, I'm sorry. It's bio corn spitz. Yum, yum. Bio corn spitz. Yum, yum. Okay. Where's the Nutella? Don't they have Nutella in Germany?
That's Austria.
Oh, it's Austria.
It better taste than that. I never was a fan of Nutella. You guys Nutella fans?
I love Nutella.
Stacey, see, we're agreeing a lot today.
I know it's not real food, but it's good.
Too sweet.
Yeah, it's too sweet.
I just feel bad. Like when people, I'm like, it's all right. They're like, no.
But you know what's too sweet and delicious?
LastPass?
Yes. Very good.
It sounded like you were going into an ad. I'm like, let's see.
Actually, I wasn't, but that's a good idea. I think I agree with you that LastPass is delicious.
It just sounded like a segue to an ad. I was like,
what's the cookies that you speculoos that you grind up and make speculoos butter?
I don't like those. No, you get them on the airplane.
Yeah, but don't eat the cookies. Grind them into peanut butter-like consistency, and you get something called speculoos butter, which is even sweeter.
I can't eat it.
Than LastPass, but delicious. Our show today brought to you by LastPass. As you send your employees home, I feel like we were so well prepared. We didn't know about work from home. We weren't planning on it. In fact, we really like our employees to come into the office. In fact, I miss the social environment that was the office. But when the virus came along, of course, we sent everybody home. And I feel like just maybe by accident. I don't know. We were really well prepared. This has been great. One of the things that we did some years ago that really helped, we started using LastPass Enterprise. When you send employees home, suddenly they're no longer in the warm protective bath of the IT department at work. They are out there in the real world in God knows what kind of internet situation, and they're logging into your stuff. They're logging into your bank accounts and your databases. And we have to. Our accountant, Robin, has to be doing that. She does it from the house. Thank goodness she's using LastPass. To make sure your business keeps running smoothly, every employee login is secure. And they do it in a lot of ways. Of course, everybody knows LastPass is the greatest password manager. Their enterprise-grade password management ensures oversight of shadow IT, enforceable policies across all password-protected accounts. It makes it easy for employees to share passwords securely. And I can go on and on and on. But it's more than just password management. There's also single sign-on. LastPass, with their LastPass Enterprise, has embraced single sign-on apps. They have 1,200-plus apps that you can use. And that's actually better than passwords. It's both easier and more convenient for employees and more secure than passwords. There's also multi-factor authentication. I love this. Make sure that user is really that user. And I'm not just talking about thumbprint or Face ID. It's biometrics, yes, but also contextual factors, things like geolocation and IP address. It makes the process smoother for your employees, and it makes it more secure for you. IT always has full insight into exactly who has access to what and from where. You're secure, you're safe, even though your employees are out there in the real world. And one of the things you'll love is, the LastPass Vault is never decrypted anywhere but on device, on every device, Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you use, smart TVs, everywhere LastPass works. Only users can get access to their data. It's encrypted with 256-bit AES. And the master password is never stored or sent. LastPass doesn't have it. And that's good news, because if they don't have it, bad guys can't get it. LastPass protects you and your business and still provides a seamless workflow for your employees. That's why I say it's super sweet. Account access and passwords can easily be shared between employees. It's easy to onboard new employees because we have folders that makes it possible to add somebody to a group, and boom, they've got all the passwords. And things like single sign-on, just make it easier. Multi-factor authentication. Your IT department will love it. Your employees will love it. You will love it. LastPass can help make remote work simple and secure. Go to lastpass.com/twit to find out how they can help you stay productive and secure no matter what, no matter where. They even I love it. It even works offline. So when your employees, like Stacey, it drops out once in a while. Don't worry. They still get the multi-factor. They still get the passwords. LastPass.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support. I was thinking speculoos butter, but yes.
Almost.
Yes.
53 minutes ago.
Yes.
Medium sends out a message to its contributors, like me,
yeah,
that it now offers newsletters. Oh. So as my friend David Cohn said, does Medium become Substack, or does Substack become Medium?
Well, because of you, Jeff, I gave them their $5 a month.
Yay! Because of you, I put everything up on Buzz Machine so you didn't have to.
I realized, I was blowing it. I was, it's only $5 a month, and I use it so often. Let me just sign in. I have to use it.
It's not Facebook.
Although, now that I'm paying
Stacey,
for it.
You're muted.
I notice.
Oh, sorry. Thanks.
For some reason on the front page, there's articles as old as 3 years old on the front page.
That's the point of Medium. They want to resurface. The point is there's good content that's still relevant.
Oh, okay.
Later.
That's good.
That's their point, yes.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll embrace it.
When they started Medium, they had no dates on any piece.
Ooh.
It drove me absolutely bonkers.
Ew.
Same here.
Yeah, because I don't want to retweet something that's 3 years old.
Well, I also don't want to read something without knowing when it was written.
Knowing that. Yeah. Context, yes.
Yeah. Like, okay, I saw Jared Diamond says there's a 49% chance that the world as we know it will end by 2050. Oh, no. And then I see, that came out in May of last year. fact, the other thing is, maybe it's because of my advanced age. I don't know. I probably read that article a year ago. I just forgot.
Well, that's why it's giving it to you again.
I don't want to reread articles. Life's too short.
I was like, that was your problem with the article, is that it didn't have a date, not the fact that the world's going to end by 2050.
I don't think Jared Diamond knows what he's talking about. Besides, I'll be dead by then anyway. So, well, I'll be 94. That's,
That was fast math.
It's wrong math, but it's fast. I'll be 90. No, I will be. I'll be 94. Yeah, exactly. Albert Einstein was not happy. Fascinating.
Yeah, the based on your reading history thing I've never liked.
Where's that?
That's what it says at the top of it. Right there.
Because I read that a year ago. So instead, you probably forgot you read this. Why is it giving me that? Then highly intelligent people are miserable.
An algorithm. Oh, no. It's an algorithm.
How to literally...
Okay, we are not reflexively hating on algorithms. We are reflexively hating on Facebook's algorithm.
Yes, that's true. Some algorithms, okay. No, I think, no, it's good, and it's worth paying for, and so I felt, you made me feel guilty, Jeff, so I ponied up.
Oh.
And actually, it's good content. It's good. There's good stuff there.
They also added a new feature I see here to mute people.
Oh, Jeff, I bet there's lots of people out there clicking that button next to you.
Mute Jeff.
Hey.
Mute
Not
Jeff.
there. You know that there are people who have very strong anti-Jeff feelings.
Are there? Why? No. Really?
Shocking.
Everybody loves Jeff.
I'm going to get yelled at for this show.
That's because you yelled at Stacey. That's not nice.
That's exactly what it is, yes.
People
I
don't
didn't
like
yell at
that.
Stacey. I yelled at you. Stacey and I were
It
agreeing
went
about everything
past
today.
me and hit Stacey.
We were agreeing. I was interviewing Stacey and asking her lots of questions. I wanted her opinion. I yelled at because you were saying...
That was a good question.
You did have a good question.
That was
so
a very good
it
question.
Made me freeze.
And I decided...
Did you ever answer it?
No, but I did.
Yes,
I said, Mark, stop letting... No more political ads, Mark. Take them away.
I didn't like your answer.
I know you
didn't
didn't
want
like
your
it, but it's
answer.
the
I
right
wanted
answer.
Stacey's answer.
All right, what's your
I
answer?
did answer.
I know.
Oh God! Now I got to remember what
Don't
it was.
remember.
Oh, it was all
We
about.
can
It was all
rewind.
about being. Sorry, it was about decency again. So I'm using your shorthand, but it was like, hey, sometimes you can't do what's good for your business. You got to do what's good for the country. Blah blah blah.
See, we agree. It's you, Leo.
Sometimes.
You, Leo.
Here's
you
some good
moral
news.
Panicker.
Elon Musk is taking a break from Twitter.
Oh.
Actually,
What was your reaction? I was so mixed because I wanted to absolutely love the space launch because I did. But the fact that it's Elon Musk just kind of took a little bit of an edge off.
I know. But I had to give him some
There are
credit.
real big benefits to society that are completely created by big jerks. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, Werner von Braun, huh?
Yeah,
I
look
guess
at
you're
that.
right.
We wouldn't have gone to the moon without that Nazi.
So, I mean, sometimes
Yeah, okay.
it's with
Thank you, Stacey.
Netflix just bought the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood. Is this the old Grauman's Chinese Theater, which is now the Egyptian Theater?
No, I don't think so.
No? Grauman's
I think the Egyptian is where they've done the Oscars a couple times.
Yeah.
I thought that was Grauman's.
It's a Grauman's. It's just Egyptian. Not anyway. I've walked by it. Yeah, it was opened on Hollywood Boulevard in 1922 by Sid Grauman. It's got a Sphinx, and the stage has got columns. The first premiere was the Douglas Fairbanks flick Robin Hood. It was closed in 1992, purchased by the American Cinematheque for $1, with the provision that the historical landmark would be restored to its original grandeur and reopened as a movie theater, showcasing the organization's celebrated public programming. And it was opened after a $12.8 million renovation in 1998. And now they've sold it on to Netflix. Netflix has been buying theaters, probably mostly so that they can get some of their movies into the Oscar nominations.
Oh, that would be, yeah. Okay.
How long before you're comfortable going back to a movie theater,
Never.
folks?
I love my home theater.
I
Popcorn's
don't think
better.
I would go to a movie theater.
I'm not in a hurry.
I mean, I went to the movie theaters like twice a year, and that was only for the latest cartoon or Marvel flick with my daughter. So
Apple TV.
And I would always go to a fancy one.
Apple TV just won a bidding war for Martin Scorsese's next movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, $180 million. So movies go on, but I think that streaming, these are the streaming companies buying these movies now.
You know why? I went twice a year too, Stacey. You know why?
Why?
Popcorn.
I'm telling you, I can make you the best popcorn you've ever had.
In your $5,000 cooking thing, does it do that too?
No, actually, the Thermomix, which is far from $5,000, does not.
It should.
It could though, Stacey. Wait a minute.
It has
Really?
It turns
It's
around.
got a little stir. I bet it does. Let me investigate. I have to go to Cookie Doo.
It's the dumbest name.
It's French.
It makes caramel
Swiss.
popcorn, I think. Yeah, the right party popcorn, caramel pop. Here it is.
Caramel popcorn, party popcorn, salted caramel popcorn. In the Thermomix, I'm going to make caramel corn tonight.
Whoa.
Tonight.
By the way, that'll hold, Leo. You can send that out to us.
Ah.
You can make Stacey very
Or
jealous.
if you get bored
By
of the
sending the
Thermomix,
perfect-
just send it.
Yeah, just send it to you, and you can
the whole
send me
thing
the
out.
popcorn back.
Yeah, Leo, I make bread, I make food. I'll make popcorn and send it back to you.
Yeah, you probably would too. This looks good. I'm making this, man. This is good. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Popcorn au caramel.
Oh, now it's French popcorn. So fancy.
'Cause it has to be at the price of the device. So they got everything has to be a fancy name.
Mike Mazik,
Is it
Tector.
Thermomix?
Go ahead. Thermomix questions
Oh,
are
no, I
much
was
more
asking-
important than copyright.
No. I was going to ask if they were French, but I
I
couldn't
think it's
remember.
Swiss.
Okay.
I feel like it's Swiss. The only things I make in it are mashed potatoes and risotto. I've got to really branch out, but it's very
Mashed
good.
potatoes, really?
Oh, it's the best mashed potatoes I've ever had.
Oh, why are they the best?
I don't know. And you know, it's great. It's got a little scale in it, right? So it says, okay, now slice up some potatoes and put in whatever, 750 grams of potatoes. So you put them in until it says 750 grams. Okay, now put in 150 grams of cream. I mean, it's all measured out, and it tells you what to do. There's buttons, there's knobs. You just do it, and it comes out a half an hour later, the creamiest, richest. These rival the mashed potatoes at the world-famous Joël Robuchon. They're very good. By the way, those are the best mashed potatoes in the world. But they're
How much butter is in them?
Lots.
Okay.
Oh, they're not healthy.
That's really all you need for good mashed potatoes.
Butter, cream. Yeah, I agree. Speaking of the public domain, Italian prosecutors, what the hell, Mike Mazik and Mike in Tech Dirt, I love Mike's stuff, says that the public prosecutors in Italy have declared Project Gutenberg, which, by the way...
What, Gutenberg? Did I hear Gutenberg?
Yes, I brought it up just for
Gutenberg.
you. Gutenberg. They take it down for copyright infringement, even though it is a repository of public domain works. It seems like some lazy work on the part of the Italian prosecutor.
What? A lazy prosecutor just
What? How could that be?
demanding
How
content
could that
taken
be?
What?
It's apparently they were monitoring some Telegram private channels, saw someone there linked to some pirate sites and Project Gutenberg, and rather than, investigate, writes Mike, they just decided to ban the entire list. Now, this is facilitated by something in Italy that I don't like so much. Apparently, it's the law in Italy that the prosecutor can tell ISPs, these are sites you must block, period. And there's
Is
no
it a three
appeal.
strikes kind of rule?
No,
Or is it?
it's gone.
No? Okay.
They never even contacted Project Gutenberg. But because they have this is where you got to be careful, because they have the right to just tell ISPs, here's a list of sites you must now block.
I will say ISPs, large social media platforms, search platforms, I think there is a huge challenge in getting them to realize the impact that those kind of blocks can have, the impact that a casual decision at the platform level can have on a business, and setting up the proper channels, even if they aren't scalable, to deal with that quickly is so essential. And I don't know how we do. I don't know. I mean, legally, there's no framework for dealing with that, but it is a huge problem.
Well, we should not really have a law that says that ISPs can just unilaterally be instructed to block.
We don't have one.
No, I know. And we should be careful we never get one without a court order or anything. Just, take them off. And honestly, it's not merely Project Gutenberg, which still has probably adherents all over the world. It's really an amazing thing. I feel bad for the Italians who won't be able to access it, the school kids and stuff who won't be able to read, the Scarlet Letter for their homework. They'll have to go out and buy it.
But then there was also another case in the last 2 weeks where book publishers were pissed at them in the U.S. because they were getting
it's the Internet Archive.
The Internet Archive.
The Internet Archive, right. So that's a parallel things.
Well, we were talking about that one. I thought we talked about that on the show, but,
Did we?
I feel like we did.
Oh, it's hell getting old, Stacey. Don't do it. Don't do it.
The Internet Archive, in honor of the quarantine, decided to put up, it has a lot of books, put up a collection of books that it normally treats like a library that you borrow. They call it the Open Library ebook lending. Publishers sued them. And you know what? In this case, these are copyright. This is not public.
This is not an easy one.
Domain. They're using that controlled digital lending, or they used to use controlled digital lending that other public libraries use, but they announced the National Emergency Library, which suspended wait lists and made all books immediately accessible to anyone with an account, and the publishers didn't like that. That was because of the quarantine. It wasn't intended to be a long-term thing.
I can see why. I can see why that would frustrate publishers and authors. I mean, if I were an author couldn't get paid for my books.
It would have been nice if maybe the Internet Archive had gone to publishers and say, this is going to be good for your, good publicity for you, good for us, good for America. We'd like to make these available to, without the restrictions that we normally have to make for CDL, controlled digital lending. But they didn't, and I think the publishers probably will win this case because they really can't. They don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
I will say that I love my quarantine reading has been amazing because I've got, I get the digital books downloaded to my Kindle. Yeah. And I'm just like, and I don't know what's happening, but all my holds are coming in right after another. I'm like, oh, I've got too many books to read. This is wonderful.
Which software does your library use?
They use Overdrive, and I use both Overdrive and then they have Libby, and I'm not sure
I think they're related.
Why there are two apps that do the same thing.
I think Overdrive owns Libby.
Okay, but they don't have the same books. It's very weird.
Yeah, that is weird. They should have the same books. Yeah, Libby is owned by Overdrive.
Yeah, so it's a better app experience. And y'all, if you like to read and your library supports this, just do it. It's like the easiest, best thing in the world. I
love it that you can, they have audiobooks too, but I love it that you can just send it to your Kindle or you can listen to it on your library. It's really cool. Really cool. Overdrive, Libby, there's some other ones too. So check your local library to see which one they support. I think most libraries now support, oh my God, Overdrive's owned by Rakuten.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Ooh. That's a little bit of a shock. Ooh. Rakuten's buying up everything.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Where's their money? Who's behind Rakuten?
It's Japanese.
Isn't it Chinese?
Is it Chinese or Japanese? I can't remember. I feel like it's Japanese, and that they bought. They've been buying a lot of
Japanese electronic commerce and online retailing company based in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Founded by Hiroshi Mikitani. I'm reading it from Wikipedia.
Founded in 1997, 18,000 employees.
Yep.
But they own a lot of other things too. Ebates. I've seen the ads anyway. They bought Ebates. And I did not, but I'm kind of surprised to learn that they own Overdrive. They own this library lending app. That's kind of wild. I wonder.
Well, there was a big thing in which publisher was it? They were talking about with ebooks at libraries. They were saying that they were going to do some more windowing there, and a library could only, because I know my library on popular books, they purchase 10 licenses for a book, right? And was the publisher who was saying they would only be able to purchase like one or two, and they would put a limit on it. And the librarians were like rightly upset, but publishers windowing ebooks. I think it was Macmillan. Boom.
Yes, right.
And the idea, Macmillan, and the idea was that people were not buying books. They were just waiting for them at the library, and this was cutting into book sales. To which I'm like, these are ebooks, and that's kind of what libraries do. And are you going to like only let a library buy 2 print copies of the books?
We're back to Ben Franklin.
And
had it not been for Franklin, if publishers had their way, would there ever be libraries?
no. Wasn't it Franklin that started the public library movement in the United States?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. This guy from Macmillan says 45% of Macmillan ebooks read every year are read for free in libraries.
Wow.
So
45%.
no wonder they're a little worried.
Yeah.
Wow.
He does not go into detail about how that figure is arrived at, but whether it's really 45% or not, I don't doubt that the
That's
number of library
interesting.
ebooks is. Yeah.
Wow. Then the library doesn't, or maybe they do. Maybe they pay them. Because
No, the
libraries
library
buy the
pays
books,
for a license.
the physical books.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
And when a library buys an ebook, it's not like you and I buying an ebook. They're buying a license to lend the ebook,
So it's
which is
more
a different
expensive.
pricing model.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Right.
All right. By the way, This Week in Google, episode 560 from May 20th, was titled Beer and Shoes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I went
Really?
looking and I couldn't find it.
Honestly, don't know if we must have talked about that story.
We must have.
But I don't think we'd
When
spent
did we
as
talk
much.
about it?
I know. I don't think we spent as much time. I don't even see it in the show notes. So
Was I there that day?
maybe no one was there that day.
Just Karsten
Just Karsten did
Just
that show
Karsten.
in his mind.
and his imagination.
Yes.
It was Karsten's show of his dreams.
Karsten, by the way, I miss getting a note from you at the end of the show telling us that we didn't focus enough on certain stories. So
What? Does he do that?
No, in a nice
I don't
way,
get
not in a
that.
bad way.
What?
I
Yeah,
don't
we
get
got
that.
it once. He sent us a
Oh,
little
once.
note
Oh, I
after.
thought
He
it
was
was like
like,
every week.
Saying what?
but I
Saying,
kind of liked it.
wait a minute. What's saying
Oh.
what? Here's the stories you missed in the show?
No, just that he thought we should have focused more on this. I think
he
it
was
was
being a producer.
Karsten's notes.
Yeah, but he doesn't
Yeah,
send it to
it was
me.
good.
I'm the guy who chooses what stories we talk about.
He knows you're hopeless, Leo. He's like Jeff
Yeah.
and Stacey. They can still be taught.
We're his root in.
He sent you a note saying you should have covered this? It's not
You're
even
making
up
it
to you.
sound so.
Uh-oh. Don't you give Karsten any trouble. He's my taco buddy.
Yeah.
Don't you give him any
Oh,
trouble.
now I understand. He's
it was
bribing you.
helpful.
Yeah.
Oh.
Taco buddy.
Yeah, now I've got Karsten in trouble.
Apparently, he sent you a note saying, here's what I would have talked about on this show.
That's why I want Karsten Camp.
Oh, Lord, I'm facing an insurrection.
Uh,
Maybe this would be a good time to do the Google changelog.
Well done, Jeff. Well done.
Oh, man. Wow. I thought I'd throw him, but no. He had his finger on the button. Good job, Jeff.
ready.
I'm going to call him JC. Because we got to distinguish him from JJ.
Well, you should ask him first.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd like something else.
What would you like me to call you, Jeff?
Was JB Rockman.
JB. JB's good. Yes, JB. Thank you, JB. Good job, JB. The third Pixel feature drop has happened. Did you get it on your Pixel?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. There's some
Probably.
good stuff. There's an
I haven't restarted.
Your battery should be better. Mine has definitely. I've noticed it. There's an AI-powered adaptive battery feature that apparently notices which apps are sucking battery even if you're not using them. It uses, and this is for Stacey, a deep convolutional neural net. I know you like those. To predict which apps you'll use which apps you'll use in the next few hours and which apps you probably won't use until later, and then reduces power to the ones you rarely use. Take that.
Why would you need a CNN to figure that out?
Oh, a CNN. A deep CNN.
Well, a convolutional neural network.
Yes,
Why
no.
would you?
Don't know, because it needs to observe your behavior and figure it out. I don't know. You're asking me. I don't even know what it is.
It's the same thing you do. It's what you usually use for like image recognition, and the idea is you show it lots of things, and then it makes a conclusion.
I think it's making a prediction as you use your phone as to which apps you're going to use.
Yeah, I guess they do. They use that for
Predictive.
language translations. So, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
A Google spokesman says Adaptive Battery now uses multiple models as input to determine how best to optimize your phone. In addition to the existing model to predict app usage, we now also use a model that predicts how your battery is likely to discharge, and another model that predicts when you're next likely to plug in. This is like Minority Report. The models run locally on the device and are personalized. Bringing these together, the device can react if it predicts you're likely to run out of a charge and enable some additional power-saving techniques to help your battery last longer. Wild. Is that wild? That's wild.
They're actually doing that on other, like using machine learning broadly to predict how long and how to optimize for battery life is actually something that's being studied right now. And it might help us. I mean, it's going to help here on our phones, but it'll also help in like IoT sensors too.
These pixel drops
kind of
are cool. So this is something Google started last year where they would add capabilities to the phone after you bought it. And they've done several now with the Pixel. There are also, you may remember the Recorder app that we talked about. That's so cool. It records and transcribes at the same time. Lets you search. Isn't it great? Have you been using it?
It is so good.
It's a reporter's dream, a student's dream. It lets you search audio files for words, export text transcripts, recommends audio message titles based on keywords or on music, applause, or speech. And now that functionality is being pulled out by Google Assistant. Let me try it. I'm just going to see if... Here, I'll mute my microphone. Start recording my meeting. And in theory... Nothing happened.
And in theory, something would happen.
In theory, something would happen. Well, I don't know. Okay. You should also be able to say, show me recordings about dogs. I have none. Or you can also, oh no, those are the two things you can do. It doesn't have to be dogs, obviously. But you could, say, show me all the meetings with JB. You can also export transcripts to Google Docs. There's new bedtime and personal safety features. You can now fall asleep to calming sounds from YouTube Music, Spotify Calm, and other apps. You could set a bedtime schedule, get a reminder when it's time for bed, and limit interruptions when you sleep. And if you...
what happens when it's bedtime?
It says... It's time to go to sleep now, and it'll play calming sounds.
Oh.
It also...
Does it turn off your access to Twitter?
It can, yes. If you stay up on your phone past bedtime, you'll get a snapshot of how much time you're spending awake.
That's how I go to sleep. I lull myself with my friends.
No, do not go to Twitter before you go to bed. That's the bad idea. In the morning, you can wake up to your favorite track or with a gradually brighter screen with sunrise alarm. Android users will get some of these functions later this summer. So this is right now for Pixel and Pixel 4 XL users. And there's a new personal safety app, which I really like. I think I could, I could show you this. But basically, if you're going to go, let's say you're going to go on a walk. It's late at night. You don't know if you'll ever come back. So you can
be midnight.
So you could say to the personal safety app, you could say, I'm going for a walk. If I don't come back in an hour, call mom or something.
Wait, so you leave your phone's with you? Or
yeah, it's with you. But if you,
that's not useful.
Well, let me see here.
Sorry. Okay. I'm thinking of like when I go hiking, sometimes there's no cell phone coverage.
It's like that. So, I see.
But
no,
I would leave my phone at at the trailhead where there's coverage,
says,
and then I could be like, if I don't come back.
Oh, no,
in
you
4
can do
hours.
this. Actually, you can do this. It says, in uncertain situations, set up a time for your phone to check that you're safe. So you could say, I should be back in 2 hours. Leave the phone. When you get home, the phone will say, Are you home? Are you okay? If you don't respond, emergency sharing automatically starts, sends your contacts information. You can also share real-time location with your emergency contacts. I think that's, so this is the safety check.
So I can see I'll end up running into a neighbor down the street, end up in a conversation, forget that I did that. The cops will come. My father will be upset.
No, it doesn't call the cops. It just calls your father.
Oh.
Or
Yeah,
whoever.
and you would just, if you have your phone still on you, it would alert you, and then you could hit a button while you're talking.
But in that
That's
scenario, it was home.
I think it's really mostly designed for you to have with you, to be honest.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Because it also sending
I'm
location
looking for
information.
something for when I go into the backcountry and I'm by myself because my husband gets really nervous.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's kind of the idea of this. I'm going on a hike, and I might, if I don't get back in a couple of hours, tell everybody I'm not back. That's pretty cool. I think that's kind of neat. And you could share real-time location information using it. It also lets you turn on crisis alerts to get notifications about natural disasters or other public emergencies. That is in the third Pixel feature drop, which I got like June 1. So you should have it by now. You want to use your phone for social distancing? Google has a new AR tool called SODAR that will tell you how close somebody is. You don't even need an app. You just visit the SODAR website using Chrome or pull up using Google's QR code, and your browser will turn into a standalone tool that uses your phone's camera to draw a 6-foot perimeter around you. That's cool. Let me go to the SODAR. It's SODAR with Google.com. And well, here I got the QR code on the site. Let me see. There we go. SODAR. That was nice. I didn't even have to type it in. Your connection is not private. What?
Oh no.
What?
Is their website not?
You know what's funny? The QR code didn't put in the HTTPS, or maybe it did. It did. That might be something local. Anyway, I can show you a little video. So that's cool. SODAR. See this? It shows you. That's 2 meters. Don't get any closer. Actually, I could have used that yesterday. I had a guy come right up to me. I do. Have you ever done this? You do the thing where you kind of go, you stagger backward. You go, ah! I staggered backwards. Like, no! Put my hand out. I feel bad doing that, but I think it's good to do that.
Oh, there's a guy I know in Europe. That's as specific as I'll get. Nice guy. I see him at conferences, then I forget. Nobody violates my space more than this guy. And I'll back up.
Oh, he's a close talker?
And
Close
it keeps
talker.
going. If you used my phone and did a route, you'd see me trying to get away at every turn, and I fail.
Have you just done this? Hey, back off just a bit. I just need my space, please.
I just go, chill, man. COVID.
Well, even if people try to get up. Like I have a very wide personal space, and I'm just like, hey, just take a step back, please. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel bad, but I
it.
think you got to do it. Yeah. The guy didn't have a mask or anything, and he just started coming up to me.
I come up to people sometimes because I forget.
You forget.
I think I terrify
Maybe
our
that's
UPS
it.
man.
And so if you do that, and went, whoa, let's social.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
And you go,
I'm
sorry. It's mine. So
Well, now we can say social distancing. Now I'm very happy. Now we can just say that all the time. It'd be fine.
Social distancing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to get sick, and you look ill.
My last meeting in New York, I remember people started shaking hands, and I said, and they were first they kind of looked at me funny, and then they realized, no, that's the right thing to do.
Here's a story Karsten would have done, but I'm not going to do.
It was about Stadia. How did you know it was about Stadia? Wow.
You abused the poor boy, my friend,
And
my
now a
taco
story
buddy.
Taco
Be
buddy
nice to
would
my
have done.
taco buddy.
But I'm not going to do. It's some stupid Stadia. You want to? Okay.
Yeah, I don't care about Stadia.
You
I
be
agree
the
with you.
judge. You be the judge.
I don't,
No.
I don't care.
That's
about
Google
I hate
Stadia
Stadia.
2.19 preps playing on non-certified phones, free weekends, touch controls, and more.
Excuse me. I'm going to go to social media and tell all the world this. You're right. You're right, Leo. You're right. You're right.
All right. Here's one you're going to care about, Jeff. G Suite customers will soon be able to make Google voice calls right from Gmail.
Whoop-de-doo.
Hey, it should be in the changelog, though. You will agree.
Yes, I will.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Google Maps makes it easier to share your location, even if you don't have an address. These are, remember we talked
plus
about
codes.
Yeah, they're plus codes. Remember we talked about what 3 words?
So why didn't they just use what 3 words?
Because plus codes are actually, aren't they? Tell me about this, Stacey. This is more of a standard, right? Plus codes.
Well, it's got a larger company behind it.
Oh, it's
So,
still a private
See,
company.
that bothered me. Yeah.
I
What
like
3
what
words
3
is
words.
open source, isn't it?
Wait,
No,
did you
it's a
see
company
that the
also.
Jabra 675T refurbished
An ad.
were cheaper? Did you see that? Scroll
What's
back
an
up.
ad?
Oh, you want me to go to an ad?
Ooh,
Oh,
good deals.
I might need to do this because I fried my Jabras. But I
Wow.
don't know what happened. I had 2 Jabras, both of which I can't charge anymore. I think I had a bad Type-C cable. I mean, a micro USB cable. I should only buy stuff.
That one is USB-C. That one's USB-C.
Yeah, see, that's a good reason to buy it. This is the one you bought, right?
Right here.
$100
like
refurbished at Newegg. What about, how do we feel about refurbished?
Ooh, refurbished
You're the
earbuds?
expert.
Do they replace the little plasticky thingies? Or
On the other hand,
we're all like,
on the other hand, you can't sell something as new if it's been bought. It's opened, right? Even if it was never
I'd probably
worn.
buy it, actually. Especially for 100.
That's a good price for these.
Dang.
normally,
I
what,
still have not
200?
used mine. Might still work. I'm not buying it. I'm not looking.
Yeah. Okay. The top critical review says, truly refurbished.
What does that even mean?
Okay, how did I get? I was telling you a story.
I'm sorry. You were telling us
Plus
about
codes.
plus
So
codes.
I think what 3 words, for instance, we are glow walnut nasal. You enter that into what 3 words, it'll give you the longitude and
remember that.
latitude. Yeah, it's easy to remember. That's my point. 3 words, easy to remember.
Yeah.
PR7G plus J2.
I like plus 3 words. I'm unhappy.
What
they
3
didn't
words are
use that.
better?
They are.
Plus codes. So you can use plus codes now in Google Maps. It generates a 6-digit code based on your location, which you can give to others. It's certainly easier than saying an address. And it's from plus.codes. But
Does
I like
Google own a piece of this?
I don't know. No, I think they just decided to.
What, Stacey?
I love it when Stacey does that.
No.
Stacey?
You
What?
guys, y'all were talking about 3 words, and I was like, oh, my helium router is named 3 words. And I was going to say it, but then I Googled it just to see. And it has my address, so I can't ever tell you the name
you're
of my
kidding.
router.
That seems like that's intentional, huh?
Well, yeah, because it's a distributed network, and there's probably
That's really
sort of
interesting.
ledger
So if
things,
I
but
used what
yeah, I
3
was just gonna-
words to figure out where you live, I could use your router.
or if I had a what 3 words with my address, you could definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking. Oh, I would never share my what 3 words, and then I'm like, what about
Glow.
Sorry.
So if I got a helium
Then how
router,
do you get
it would
your
be called
delivery?
Glow walnut nasal. Right?
Well, I wouldn't share it on this show. I would share it with someone who's trying
Yeah.
to send me a package.
Yeah. It's your front door.
But I don't.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I would tell everybody who listens to Twig where I live.
No.
I'm sure you're all very nice.
You should
but
probably, I think probably that's sensible. And finally, Google has added a suite of bedtime tools. I think this is related to the pixel drop. Do not disturb, grayscale effect, pixels get it first. I think this is related. So we'll just say we already did that one. I thought the pixel drop was pretty cool. There's something about it. This is a 6-month-old phone. There's just something about it getting nice new features like that. I think that's pretty cool. Like that voice recorder, that thing's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is neat. Although that's the beauty of having a connected device. It could get better over time.
Get smarter, yeah.
Ta-da!
And that, ta-da, is...
Wait, no. We didn't talk about Nest adding... Sorry, I'm going to add something to the Google change log.
Please.
Well, it's not in there.
Nest
WWKD. What would Karsten do?
He's gonna be fine with this.
Good.
And Nest is adding Google's advanced protection services.
Oh, I saw this.
To its devices.
Yeah, that's
and
the one where you use a physical key in addition.
Two physical
keys in addition. Well, you only use one, but you have two.
You have your phone. Or
you should always have a backup physical key anyway. You should never just use one. What if you lost it? That'd be bad.
So yeah, I thought that was really good, although I don't think I would use it. I'm actually curious, do any of y'all use the advanced security or advanced protection?
I have, and you lose so many features that I use that I've turned it on twice and turned it off twice. And, most recently the feature to embed Google Docs in other things, which I really valued, but you can't do that if you're using the advanced protection. And I should point this out, you could still use a YubiKey or some sort of physical dongle as your authentication on Google. So it's not like...
Without advanced protection.
So it's not... Okay. Yeah. So I do that.
And advanced protection is for super secure people. Although if you're super secure like that, you probably wouldn't have an off-the-shelf connected video camera in your home, is my thought. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I thought it was worth mentioning.
Anything else? Any other new Google features? Karsten?
Oh, I see. Oh.
What would you do? Anything else? Okay. That's the Google changelog. I think we could go to the end of the show at this point.
Ooh, yeah, I think you did it.
I think so.
I think you did it.
I think so. I want you to start, Stacey, if you have a thing or two.
So I'm gonna confess to you guys, I have been painting all weekend.
Yeah.
No, I haven't had any time.
What are you painting? Are you painting a tree?
Rooms
a little
in my
bird?
House.
Oh, rooms in your house. Oh, that sounds like
so
a nice
you're in.
painting.
I thought you weren't closing yet. You closed?
Oh, we have now closed, and we are now
muzzle.
tweaking things. Thank you. So yes, I have. I'm trying to think if I've purchased anything interesting related to housing stuff. I'm about to start doing all of my connected home stuff, but I haven't yet. So,
well, we definitely want to report then once you get the house all wired up. That's good. That's awesome.
But yeah, right now, I'm sorry, y'all. I wish I had. I did read a good book.
Okay.
But it's kind of old.
I always want to hear what to read. I'm always looking for other books to read.
Well, it was the 2018 Pulitzer Prize winning book, so it's not secret, but it's The Overstory by Richard Power.
Don't know it.
It's really good, and it's really slow getting there. And I thought I was reading one book, and then like a third of the way through, I realized I was reading a totally different book. But it's really good, and it makes you think about. Part of it's because I like nature and trees, and a lot of it's set in the Pacific Northwest. But I liked it. It actually.
Oh, this sounds really good. This sounds really good.
It's a really good book.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing in my
short list for the Man Booker Prize, Pulitzer Prize winner in 2019.
Oh yeah, I saw that in the store.
2019.
Yeah. I'm adding this to my list. That sounds great.
So.
Thank you. See,
There you go. Sorry.
It doesn't have to be a TV show. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to see if it's on Audible because I no longer can read. Yes, it is. 22 hours.
Good Lord.
Good Lord.
I listened to East West Street, which is spectacular.
What's that?
It is a really fascinating story of the origins of genocide and crimes against humanity at an individual or group level in the Nuremberg trials, told by an author who follows his own relative and then runs into two other relatives from the same. They were all involved in the same town. It's amazing. He has a new book coming out. It's really smart.
Nice.
East West Street.
By the way, The Overstory is on a 2-for-1 sale right now at Audible.
Wait, so you buy one and you get two?
Yeah. That's how it
Copies of
works.
the same book?
Oh, you get two of the same book? Well, that wouldn't be, especially an audiobook.
Well, that's what I'm curious. What?
No,
I don't understand.
There's a list of books.
Buy one, get one free.
No, it's not a BOGO. It's a 2-for-1 selection. And there's a bunch of books in that, and if it's in those lists, then you could buy one and you could then pick another one for free.
Oh, the other book I read that's really good. I'm going to give it to you because it also made me change my world. The Water Dancer by Taneshi Coates.
I love
Ta-Nehisi.
Yeah, Baratunde
Ta-Nehisi?
finally told me how to say that, Ta-Nehisi, which is not how it's spelled.
It is not.
I love.
He taught at our school. That's how I know.
Oh, did he?
Ta-Nehisi.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought Between the World and Me. In fact, that's one I would recommend as one of and it's one of Baratunde's books that would help you understand what it's like to be black in America. Very powerful, Between the World and Me. And
This is a novel.
Yeah. He's a great writer.
And it was so good. And I am mad that children do not read this in school because I thought that he wrote a quintessential story about America that we really haven't heard before.
Yeah. Wow.
And it made me very aware of how much, because I had no part in slavery. I'm not a part of that. And I recognize what that has done, Jim Crow and all the way up to today in terms of systemic racism. But he talks about how he really drove home the point of how it compromised and is such an essential part of the creation of our country.
Absolutely.
In a way that was really beautiful and just entertaining and speaks to the heart. And
nice.
Anyway.
It's on my list. Just added it. Jeff, see, you had 2 picks you didn't even know.
There we go.
There you go. Jeff, your number.
Well, I could do a number, but I could piss off Carson, my taco buddy.
Yeah. Piss off the taco buddy.
Why would you do that?
Because he wants me to do numbers all the time, but I have German words. I have a whole German thing.
You could do anything you want. Nobody says you have to do numbers.
Yeah, I didn't do a thing today, so.
Nobody's ever said you have to do numbers. I even volunteered to take numbers over if you want.
Carson objected, and he's my taco buddy, and I'm listening to Carson.
Carson doesn't have a say in that.
With the power grab here.
No, it's not a grab.
He is a threatened old white man. Jeez.
Okay, I give in.
Threatened by a Harvard grad.
I submit to my Karsten overlord. Go ahead.
Well, no. So now since you've done books, I'm going to do a book. Well, not really a book, a story.
A story.
So I just started. It just came out yesterday. Humankind by Rutger Bregman. He was the guy who went to Davos and lectured all the Davosians about how screwed up they were and wrong where they were and everything. He's just written a book called Humankind, which is about we're not so bad after all. You probably won't like it as a result because you want to think people are just slime. But anyway, he has a story in there in his research that he did in The Guardian. I just put it up on the bottom of the rundown under other. The real Lord of the Flies story. Did you see this tale?
I did see that on Medium, I think, but go ahead.
It was on The Guardian.
It was in The Guardian. But actually, I think I've also read somewhere that this maybe isn't quite exactly how it was. But okay.
Really?
Yeah, I'll find that article for you.
Oh, do.
Yeah.
So obviously William Golding's novel we were all forced to read in school says we're all just horrible people, and it comes out we're on the island alone. And then he found the real story of 5 boys in Tonga, I think it was, who basically stole a boat and ended up shipwrecked for a year and a half, and they had a nice society and they got along.
They made a pact never to quarrel.
and then if they did, that they would go take timeouts. And they would come back together. And then a ship captain, a fishing boat captain, happened to buy the island, happened on all of them, rescued them, and they're friends to this day. And it's really quite a remarkable, wonderful little story. So I've just started the book. I don't know whether I'm going to like the book or not, but
they were saved by the ship captain, who noticed burning patches on the green cliffs. Then he saw a boy naked, hair down to his shoulders, who leaped from the cliffside, plunged into the water. Suddenly, more boys followed, screaming at the top of their lungs. It didn't take long for the first boy to reach the boat. "My name is Stephen," he cried in perfect English. "There are 6 of us, and we reckon we've been here 15 months." Students at a boarding school in Nuku'alofa, the Tongan capital, sick of school meals, they decided to go fishing. They got caught in a storm. Okay. Nice story. And there they are later.
Yeah.
After they grew up.
It was kind of a goosebumpy story.
Yeah.
So you think it's not the case?
Well, I don't know. I should never say things like that because
You probably read that on Facebook.
it's a headline I scanned quickly and thought, oh, I got to read that. You know what? I'm always suspicious of nice stories.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem. Leo.
I always believe there's probably more to that than meets
You
the
see,
eye.
that's your problem. You're too much of a nihilist. That comes into your attitude about Facebook and everything. Yes, there are. See, Stacey and I agree again. You're even mean to my taco buddy.
I'm mean to. Oh no,
Leo is mean to my taco buddy. Now he's going to find the story and say, yes, in fact, humankind is corrupt and awful and miserable. Jarvis, you fool.
It is both. I think most people want to do the right thing most of the time.
The story, as told by the Dutch historian and author Rutger Bregman, has upset some members of the Pacific Island community who argue the story of the 6 young Tongan boys had been instead told through a colonial lens and missed the Pacific point of view. Guardian excerpt. By the way, that Guardian excerpt has been read more than 7 million times.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Holy cow. The story is based on Tongans. I'm Tongan, and I do not relate to that story because it was told through a colonial lens. Let me see what they... I told him... Okay, but I want to see what she didn't like about it. Here's the account we should have had first. Oh, basically, it's because they're Tongan. We were raised to build community. It's very hard to exist outside of community. And so that's... I guess
it wasn't about the nature of mankind, but the nature of Tongans.
Yeah, nature of Tongans, yeah. It's not so bad. For me, it's hard to process because whiteness believes it can own everything and everything. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think she disagrees about the facts of it.
Okay.
She's just mad that she felt like it was cultural appropriation that this guy got all the credit.
The glory.
About
writing about Tongans. Yeah. Tongans.
So if you want, you can go back to the Guardian and read the actual survivor's story of what happened.
Oh,
yeah, he's 73 now. And so I think they're resenting that Rutger Bregman's Humankind and the excerpt we just talked about got all the attention when it really should have been the Tongans who told their own story. So if you want, read the actual account by the kid, now in his 70s, who was rescued. He says he has nothing but praise for Warner, the rescuer, Peter Warner. But he says initially Warner and the crew were fearful of the boys because we were all naked and had long hair.
Well, because what he explains is that certain places would drop off miscreants in their own little Australia. And so you didn't know whether they were dropped there. And the other part of the story was when they got back to Tonga, the fishing boat owner whose boat they'd stolen was still upset. And so the boys all got arrested.
Right.
And so the fishing boat captain had connections in Australia. And so he said, I'll give you the rights to the story in Australia for a TV show one time. And give me the money, and then I'll buy the boat from the guy and get them out of jail. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then he, a little more. So he had gone to the king of Tonga asking to do a lobster business. And the king of Tonga said no. But after he did this amazing thing, rescuing the boys the king of Tonga said, "What would you like from me?" And he said, "I'd like to run a lobster business." And the king of Tonga said, "Okay, you can do a lobster business." So what did the guy do, the fishing boat captain?
What?
He hired all the boys on the boat.
Oh. So he was good. Peter Warner, in fact.
Yeah, he's very good.
In fact, this guy in his story says, I have nothing but love and respect for Peter Warner.
See, Leo, your reflex. You wanted to find a nice story about humanity.
But he also
said
he's mad at that he said, I wanted to write this story and make some money for my kids. Now this Wegner guy's come along and it's too late.
I don't think so, because the story is so light. There's a lot more there.
He says, I don't want anybody to tell my full story until I publish a book from maybe make some living for my grandchildren. But he says, I don't blame Warner. He says, and I know a lot of people say to me things like, Mr. Warner makes a lot of money from our story. Who cares? If no Mr. Warner, we never survive. If no Mr. Warner, we won't be here to tell our story. If Mr. Warner makes some money from it, good luck for him. That's my opinion. I would tell everybody, please shut up. So there you go. The final word from Total.
Okay.
And now my pick of the week. I'm exhausted.
Well, yeah, you tear down all of mankind.
Tear it down. I just said I remember reading there was more to the story than meets the eye. I'm not a nihilist. All right, maybe I am. So my pick of the week is a free audio editor, web-based. So this is good for you.
This I love.
You Chromebook users.
This is cool.
Because it's all in the browser. It's audiomass.co. And honestly, and I use a lot of audio editors. This is this is kind of amazing. This is the kind of thing
students could use this.
Yes, journalists can use it. It has recording built in, multi-track. It has effects built in, including normalizing. It has graphic equalizer. It's got a limiter, distortion, reverb. This is essentially the most important parts.
So if I were doing, so this is just editing. If I were doing an interview with you, you could record yourself using this, and I could record me using it, and then I could mush the two together. You wouldn't have to have anything fancy.
Yes.
No. And the nice thing is this would work on your Chromebook. This is finally a browser.
Yeah, this is exciting because Kevin records. He does gymnastics to get Audacity running.
That's right.
He's got two machines. So this
he's got to do Linux
this,
and all that. Right.
How long have you? How large of a file have you brought into this to edit?
I haven't, so I don't know. That would be an interesting question. And if it's really big, obviously it's going to take a while to upload, right?
Yeah.
It's full audio. It's not that much.
Yeah.
It can take a while. We'll check a look at. We'll check a look at this.
Check a look at this. Check a look at it.
Stacey's tired. Let's go.
And then I want to mention this is related, and I think this is really interesting too. Kevin Rose brought this to my attention in his Twitter. Yes, I read Twitter once in a while. It's called Descript, Descript.com. This is not free, but it's really interesting. And you might be this might be useful for you, Stacey. You record audio, and then it transcribes it. And instead of editing the audio directly, you edit the text, and that edits the audio.
That's also good.
So I could just say but not just by because like right now I take out the via the waveform. So you're good if you have the consistent but
and it actually does have a free tier, 3 hours a month for free. You also, if you pay $10 a month, you can get the human audio transcriptions and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's a really interesting concept.
That is.
Edit audio by editing text. So there's two different things for you. One a more traditional, and this one is kind of
I'm sorry,
interesting.
What's this called again?
It's Descript, Descript.com, or Descript, if you think about it. I guess it's a play.
Oh, I see. You're descripting.
You're descripting.
I get it.
It does transcription. Apparently, you could do video editing as well because you can what you do is take the audio track, like of this show, and then export the edits to Premiere or Final Cut and do a video edit based on that, which is pretty darn amazing.
That's fancy. Wow.
Yeah, pretty darn cool. Also, real-time multi-user editing and commenting. So as you're working with Kevin, you could do it together. As I don't know how well you get along, but you could do this together to edit your podcast, right? I think it's very intriguing.
I maintain all editorial control over the podcast. So
yes, you have no Karsten to bother you. That's
so Kevin just records with me, and then I don't have a Karsten.
No Karsten to piss you off, huh?
Watch it.
I don't take feedback. That doesn't make me angry, Leo.
I hate you all. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Stacey Higginbotham and her fabulous podcast on IoT with Kevin Toffel. You'll find that at stacyoniot.com. And, of course, her newsletter, which is free and a wonderful read, and plus lots of articles at the website. Don't forget her event is coming up. Yes, stacyoniot.com/edge. Next week at this time, she's going to be competing with us. No, not next week. It's in a few weeks. Sorry.
No,
it's next week. It's actually on Thursday.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It's not on the 10th.
Next Thursday.
I'm taking off because Thursday's when I do my newsletter, but I need time to write the newsletter. So I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You're so organized.
We'll have Karsten do the show, and it'll be great.
I was going to say, don't be sad. You're going to get Ant, and he is just a cheery teddy bear of a person.
He's a cuddly teddy bear of a guy. Unless he gets mad at you.
I'm just
he's got muscles
now with Ant, and I don't.
I can't imagine Ant getting mad.
No, I've never seen him mad. He's just the sweetest. Yep. And by the way, he posted, and we've tweeted it. He posted it on YouTube on his YouTube channel. Kind of just a 15-minute stream of consciousness about, George Floyd and about the unrest and stuff. It's very good, and I just love Ant. And I think one of the things that really helps is just to get to know somebody. I've seen other black people do this on Twitter and other places where just let me tell you about myself. I'm not the enemy. I'm a human just like you. I think that's very valuable. Just to remind us we're all in this together. The darkness of one's skin does not really change anything at all. At all. I don't like you, Jeff, because you're so much whiter than I am.
Well, I am extremely white, thus pink on the camera.
Practically pink.
Yeah. And the
Jeff,
more hair I get, the worse it is.
And some would say a pinko. He is the director of the town. Look how white he is. The Town Night Center for the Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism. The Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. New York. I was watching an interview with the highest ranking uniformed police officer in the NYPD, and it was great. He was such a New Yorker. It was so great. We're going to try to keep these streets clear tonight. It was so great. Oh, man, I miss New York. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Stacey. Be well, be safe. We'll see you in 2 weeks, Stacey.
Love you guys.
Love you, Jeff.
Bye.
Even if I am a nihilist. Bah! Humbug! Our show is Wednesdays, 1:30 Pacific. I know it says 1 on the calendar. I just learned that myself. I've been late half an hour for the last 5 years. So, I don't know. We'll see if we can do it at 1.
Actually, that was the way to fool you by telling you it was 1. We actually got to do it by 1:30. Now it's going to be 2.
Smart. No. I'm not going to change the calendar. That's a very clever idea.
Yeah, every now and then Karsten's like, hey, do you want to do it at 1? And I'm always like, no.
Oh, yeah. I could have today. Windows Weekly was done at 12:45, but I instead decided to have a leisurely lunch.
Oh, good for you.
I was late today, but it was because I dropped my coffee on the floor and I had to clean it up before I was like, oh no.
That's that's awful. That's worse than like anything, dropping your coffee. You have this beautiful cup of coffee, you're looking forward to drinking it, and it's gone.
There are lots of things worse.
Not much. That's as bad as it gets.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I'm a nihilist and a Pollyanna. How does it happen? I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's a contradiction. We do this show whenever, Wednesday, 1:30, sort of.
Who cares? It's all meaningless. I'm a nihilist.
Who cares? It doesn't matter anyway. That's Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern time, 20:30 UTC. If you want to watch us do it live, you can. There's a stream at twit.tv/live. There's audio there and video. Pick your stream. If you're doing that, chat along with our other live viewers in the chat room, irc.com/live. www.twit.tv. And there's on-demand versions at the website, twit.tv/twig. And that's kind of the key to the whole thing called a podcast. You don't have to listen live. You can listen whenever you want or watch. We do video too. Twit.tv/twig. There's a YouTube channel with all of our episodes. Smartest thing to do, though, would be subscribe. That way you'd have it automatically. You wouldn't have to think about it. You just go to your phone and say, oh, I do have this week in Google this week. And you can listen at your leisure. I hope you will do that for us. Thank you. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great week. And let's just do the best we can, okay? We're going to try to get through this all together. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
Hey folks, I am Micah Sargent, co-host of Tech News Weekly right here on the Twit Network. Yes, Tech News Weekly is a show we do every week, Jason Howell and myself, where we talk to people who are making and a break in the tech news. That's right, it's journalists, it's inventors, it's app makers, it's everybody who's bringing the tech news in a given week. It's all the stuff you want to know about in bite-sized chunks in a fantastic package. So be sure to subscribe. It's twit.tv/TNW.